Chapter 1429. On the top floor of the tower. Elder Ming was silent for a moment after hearing the question. He looked at the floating door in front of him and said after a while, "It's fine." Elder Bo Yen heaved a sigh of relief outside the barrier. "With you around, there won't be any problems. I'll be going back now." With that, Elder Bo Yen cupped his fists and bowed respectfully before turning to leave. The surroundings returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. After a long while, Elder Ming sighed. "I wonder when that girl will return. Does she really not want this thing? It's been so long, but she hasn't even sent a letter back. I really don't know what she's busy with." Elder Ming shook his head, but when he thought of the two people downstairs, he couldn't help but shake his head again. "Looks like I'll have to ask Rong Xiao when I have time. Maybe I can get some information from him." On the second floor, Chu Luiyue was lying on the 1,000-year-cold jade bed. Rong Xiao sat beside her and held her hand. Their fingers were intertwined, and a faint golden light flickered. A warm energy flowed into Chu Luiyue's body and carefully nourished her body. Her internal organs, including a part of her Yuan meridian, were all injured in the previous accident. Although her body's recovery ability was very strong, Rong Xiao still insisted on using his force to heal her internal injuries every once in a while. Now Chu Luiyue's situation was much better. Her pale and haggard face had a tinge of red, and her breathing was much more stable than before. Probably because of Rong Xiao's presence, the familiar cold fragrance filled the air and made her feel much more at ease. She didn't fall into a nightmare again and continued to sleep peacefully. When Elder Wenxi brought Mu Hongyu to the academy, it attracted the attention of many people. In the past half a month, no one had come to the academy. Now that one suddenly came, it naturally became the focus of everyone's attention. Because he liked Mu Hongyu very much, Elder Wenxi simply arranged a residence for her personally. "I originally planned to arrange for you to live on the same mountain as Chuyu, but because Chuyu has changed places now, I can only try to let you live closer to him." Elder Wenxi and Mu Hongyu stood halfway up the mountain and pointed in a certain direction. "This is Tiger Head Mountain. The mountain in the southeast is Mount Jiuheng. That was Rong Xiao's residence, and now Chuyu had also moved there." "Your Highness." Mu Hongyu was a little surprised. Elder Wenxi was stunned for a moment before he came back to his senses. Since Mu Hongyu and Chuyu were good friends, it was normal for her to know Rong Xiao. From the way they addressed him, he seemed to be from the Yuntian Tower, or perhaps one of the 28 divisions under it. Yes, ever since Rong Xiao entered the academy, he has been living alone there. Chuyu was the first to be allowed to live with him. It had to be said that Rong Xiao treated him extremely well. Even elders like them couldn't get close to Mount Jiuheng at will, only Chuyu could. "Didn't this mean anything?" Mu Hongyu laughed. "Isn't it normal for your highness to treat her well?" The two of them had an engagement, and they were only short of a formal wedding. With such a relationship, others naturally couldn't compare. Elder Wenxi heard this and was a little curious. "Oh, why do you say that?" "Of course." Mu Hongyu was halfway through her words when she suddenly remembered that Chu Luiyue was now using the name of Chuyu, and quickly stopped talking. A pair of almond eyes turned, and she smiled slyly. "Of course it's because they have a good relationship." Without waiting for Elder Wenxi to ask again, she immediately changed the topic. "By the way, Elder, since they all live in Mount Jiuheng, can I go directly to see them?" Elder Wenxi's face stiffened, and he laughed dryly. It's a long story, Master." At this moment a gentle voice sounded. Elder Wenxi looked up. "Sure, why are you here?" Luo Shirshi's figure flashed, and she quickly arrived in front of the two of them. She respectfully curtsied to Elder Wenxi, and then said with a smile, "Elder Wenxi, Elder Huafeng came to look for you. He heard that you were arranging for the new students, so he went back. He said that he wants you to go to his place when you have time. He has something important to discuss." Elder Wenxi snorted softly. "What's the matter? Can't you just come over and say it? The older you get, the more troublesome it is." Although he said that, there was still a smile on his face. It was obvious that he was just teasing. Luo Shirshir was already used to the way the two elders interacted, so she didn't care much. She turned her gaze and looked at Mu Hongyu with curiosity in her eyes. This must be the new junior sister, right? She had been here for several months, so she naturally called herself a senior sister. Elder Wensi laughed out loud. That's right. This is Mu Hongyu, a new student that was just recruited today. Hongyu, this is Luo Shirshir, my student. Mu Hongyu smiled. Hello, senior sister. Luo Shirshir looked at the young lady in front of her. Her small face was wheat-colored, but it didn't hide her beauty at all. Especially those round and sparkling almond-shaped eyes. They were lively and cute. She smiled and nodded. Junior sister Hongyu, you're welcome. Since you're in the academy, we're all family. Especially since you were personally assessed by Master. We're all fated. If there's anything you don't understand in the academy in the future, feel free to ask me. Haha. The fate between the two of you is not limited to this. Elder Wensi smiled and stroked his beard. Hongyu, do you know that when Shirshir entered the academy, she participated in the assessment with Chuyu? Moreover, their relationship is still very good even now. So good that they caused trouble together in Thousand Wine Mountain. But of course she couldn't say that out loud. Hearing that the other party was also Chu Liuyue's good friend, Mu Hongyu immediately felt closer. Luo Shirshir found it strange. Why did Elder Wensi say that? Mu Hongyu and Chuyu seem to know each other? As if reading her mind, Elder Wensi smiled and said, I forgot to mention Shirshir. Hongyu was also Chuyu's good friend in the past. She said that she wanted to see Chuyu the moment she came to the academy. Luo Shirshir was stunned. So it's really, Mu Hongyu blinked. Elder, you haven't told me where Chuyu is now. My father and mother also asked me to say hello to her. In fact, she hadn't been home for a long time, and she hadn't contacted her family when she was in the Red Moon Desert. However, her father and mother had always been grateful to Chu Liyue. Sometimes, they were even more concerned about her than her. So there was nothing wrong with saying that. Luo Shirshir was a little surprised. It seems that junior sister Hongyu and Chuyu are really close. Why would a normal friend make the parents of a young girl so concerned? And from the looks of it, Mu Hongyu and Chuyu don't seem to be that close. Luo Shirshir suddenly felt an indescribable sense of loss. She pursed her lips and said, Chuyu is not in Jiuheng Mountain now, but Pengmin Mountain. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1430. The corner of Elder Wensi's eyes twitched. Io, why did this child say it so directly? He thought for a long time, but still didn't know how to say it. Pengmin Mountain? What is that place? Mu Hongyu was at a loss. She had just arrived at the academy, so of course, she didn't know what Pengmin Mountain meant. I've already said it, it's better to be honest. Elder Wensi silently persuaded himself in his heart, and then explained. This matter has to start from the time when everyone went to the northern border of the Great Desolate Land. Elder Wensi spent about half an hour telling Mu Hongyu the whole story. Actually, this matter had more or less spread outside, so it was fine to say it out loud. He just saw that Mu Hongyu didn't seem to know about it, so he didn't know how to say it. But thinking about it carefully, he had to say it sooner or later anyway, so he might as well say it directly. That's about it. During this period of time, Chuyu was still locked up in Pengmin Mountain. As for when he would come out, Bo Yin hadn't said yet, so it was hard to be sure. Mu Hongyu's eyes widened slightly, and it took her a while to digest these words. After reacting, she quickly asked, How is Chuyu's body now? Elder Wensi comforted her. Don't worry about this. He entered Pengmin Mountain after waking up, and seems to have recovered. Logically speaking, nothing should happen to him. Mu Hongyu was still worried. But didn't you just say that Pengmin Mountain is very dangerous? This old man thinks you don't have to worry too much. He has already been to Pengmin Mountain twice before, and he seems to be fine. Elder Wensi was quite open-minded about this matter. After seeing that kid's ability to cause trouble, he felt that he didn't have to worry so much. In the situation of the northern border of the Great Desolate Land, he was able to snatch the opportunity and directly break through from the 8th stage to the 9th stage. What was there to worry about? Mu Hongyu relaxed a little. That's true. Lu Yu had always been able to turn danger into safety, and this was only a punishment from the academy, so there shouldn't be any problems. Then I'll cultivate well during this period of time, and wait for her to come out. Mu Hongyu quickly adjusted her state of mind and smiled. Luo Shishir was dazzled by his brilliant smile, and couldn't help but ask, Hongyu, are you really not worried at all? During this period of time, she had actually not been able to sleep well. In her mind, she kept thinking about Chu Yu's miserable appearance when he was covered in blood. Plus, there were a lot of people out there waiting to cause trouble for him. It was truly worrisome. However, Mu Hongyu did not seem to have such concerns. Of course I'm worried. Mu Hongyu nodded, and immediately changed the topic. But I believe in her. Having gone through life and death together in the past, she could always choose to trust Chu Luyue unconditionally. Luo Shishir was a little absent-minded. Shishir, bring Hongyu around first. I'll go to Huafeng to take a look. Okay. Luo Shishir came back to her senses and quickly agreed. Elder Wensi was relieved to hand Mu Hongyu over to Luo Shishir, and quickly left. Luo Shishir thought for a moment and said, let's go to Qingming Square to take a look first. Chu Yu hasn't been in the academy for long, and he's already on the Azure Cloud roll. I'll tell you in detail when we get there. Mu Hongyu nodded happily and gratefully. Thank you, senior sister. Luo Shishir smiled. You're Chu Yu's friend, so you're naturally my friend too. Let's go. After saying that, she led her away. Huafeng, why are you looking for me? Elder Wensi quickly arrived at Elder Huafeng's place, and asked as he walked into the room. No one answered. He looked inside and saw Elder Huafeng sitting behind the desk, staring at something on the table in a daze. What are you looking at? Elder Wensi walked over and reached out to take it. Elder Huafeng quickly blocked him. Hey, don't touch it. Elder Wensi was not angry, but he was even more curious. He leaned forward slightly and looked at the thing. What kind of treasure is it? Why are you still hiding it? Elder Huafeng raised his head with a solemn expression. Elder Wensi suddenly felt that something was wrong, and his heart skipped a beat. Bang! The door outside was closed by Elder Huafeng. At the same time, a layer of barrier appeared around him. Elder Wensi was even more uneasy. According to his understanding of Elder Huafeng, something must have happened to him for him to act like this. The teasing smile on his face froze slightly. What's wrong? Elder Huafeng paused for a moment, as if he was very conflicted. After a long while, he waved his finger lightly. The thing on the table flew up and floated quietly in the air under his control. It was a square piece of paper. There was only a thin layer, but the texture was extremely good. It even glowed with a faint jade-colored light. It was wholly and pure. On it, countless streams of light interweaved, forming an incomparably complicated Xian formation. Elder Wensi stared at it for a while, and felt a little dizzy, so he quickly looked away. What kind of Xian formation is this? The pressure is so domineering. Although he was not a Xian master, he had been in the academy for many years, and had powerful Xian masters like Elder Huafeng by his side. He had some understanding of Xian formations. He had seen many high-level Xian formations. However, the Xian formation on this was not the most complicated one he had ever seen, but it carried a powerful aura. He only stared at it a few times, but he felt that the biting cold fighting intent and killing intent seemed to want to break through the back of the paper and charge straight at him. Elder Huafeng waved his hand, and the piece of paper flew back. He took the paperweight beside him and placed it in the middle. Only then did the shocking fluctuation gradually calm down. You also noticed the power of the Xian formation? Elder Huafeng frowned. But this isn't even a complete Xian formation. What? Elder Wensi was shocked. An incomplete Xian formation was already so powerful. If it was complete, it was hard to imagine how shocking it would be. Where did you get this Xian formation? According to his understanding of Elder Huafeng, he shouldn't be able to use such a terrifying Xian formation now, right? Do you still remember that I told you before that after we arrived at the northern border of the primordial desolate land, we encountered several troubles on the way, and one of them was even trapped by a Xian formation? Elder Wensi nodded. I remember. Hiss, could this be that? This isn't that Xian formation. Elder Huafeng rubbed his temples and smiled helplessly. Even the current me can't use that Xian formation. This is the Xian formation that Chuyu drew. He only remembers a part of it, so during this period of time, I have been trying to restore that Xian formation. I haven't done it completely yet, only a part of it. But you have seen its power. Elder Wensi knew that they were able to come out at that time because of Chuyu, but he didn't know in detail. So, Elder Huafeng took a deep breath. After a long while, he said word by word. This Xian formation is extremely similar to the Xian formation left behind by the first Dean. Digression. Let's update together at 6 p.m. in the comment section. February had already silently noted it down. When the truth is revealed, the prize will be given out. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. Chapter 1431. The first Dean, who existed in the distant legends, was an unreachable existence even in the eyes of Elder Huafeng and the others. Back then, that person had single-handedly founded Lingxiao College and left behind many of his precious treasures, all of which were stored in the Academy's Secretary Pavilion. Over the past 10,000 years, only the previous Dean and a few elders could enter. Elder Huafeng happened to be one of them. It was precisely because of this that he was fortunate enough to personally see the Xian formation left behind by the first Dean. Unfortunately, the power contained in those Xian formations was too powerful. It was too difficult for Elder Huafeng, who was not strong enough to completely remember them. However, even if he only remembered a portion of them, it was still extremely beneficial to him. Back then, when he was trapped in that huge barrier in the northern region of the Great Desolate Land, he vaguely felt that it was somewhat familiar, but he didn't dare to be sure. After returning, he carefully recalled the Xian formation that Chuyu had described to him that day, and repaired it bit by bit. Now he had almost deciphered more than half of the Xian formation. He could finally confirm that this Xian formation was indeed extremely similar to the Xian formation left behind by the Dean. Of course, he didn't dare to be completely sure that this was the same Xian formation. After all, the slightest difference in this kind of thing could lead to a huge difference. However, he was basically certain that this Xian formation was definitely related to the first Dean. Elder Wensi was also shocked when he heard this and couldn't recover for a long time. Do you know what you're talking about? Elder Wensi spoke with difficulty. He felt his throat tighten and dry. His first reaction was that it was impossible, but his rationality told him that nothing was impossible. Although Elder Huafeng always liked to joke, he was absolutely serious when it came to such matters. He was even certain that Elder Huafeng must have compared it repeatedly and basically confirmed the situation before finding him. Elder Huafeng laughed bitterly. I don't know what to say now. Perhaps I should tell Bo Yen about this matter. Elder Wensi was silent for a moment. Don't be so anxious. Recently, there have been a lot of things in the academy that he has to deal with. He must be quite busy. Why don't we discuss it first? You said that Chuyu told you about this Xian formation? Although he is talented as a Xian master, he shouldn't have any understanding of such a profound and complicated Xian formation, right? Elder Huafeng calmed down for a while before he recounted what had happened that day in detail. The room was silent. After a long time, Elder Wensi asked, in that case, this profound formation was only seen by Chuyu by accident. Elder Huafeng nodded and said, that's what he said, but we don't know if it's true or not. This was a matter of great importance, so he had no choice but to maintain a skeptical attitude towards everything. In my opinion, this profound formation is most likely related to the first principle. As for whether Chuyu knows about this matter, we will have to ask him again. Elder Wensi's eyes fell on that piece of paper again. This kind of paper was specially used by Xian masters to inscribe high-grade Xian formations. It was extremely precious, but it could clearly depict the Xian formation, so it was loved by Xian masters. It was overflowing with light and vibrant colors, looking extremely gorgeous. However, who would have thought that the profound formation above actually hid such a huge mystery? Actually, I think that Chuyu probably doesn't know. If he knew, why would he tell you about the profound formation so straightforwardly? Elder Wincy said hesitantly. Elder Huafeng was non-committal. Since things have already come to this, we have to solve it. You're right. Boyan has indeed been quite tired recently. Let's wait until Chuyu comes out of Pengmin Mountain, and everyone gets together before we talk about this matter. In the past few days, he had been feeling uneasy because of this matter. In the end, he had no choice but to call Elder Wincy over to discuss it together. At this moment, after confirming his train of thought, he could finally calm down a little. Elder Wincy also nodded. This matter involves a lot of things. Before we have conclusive evidence, we must keep a low profile. I know. Chu Luiyue slept for 2 days and 2 nights before she finally woke up slowly. She opened her eyes with difficulty and felt a blur. Someone leaned over. Before she could see the other party's face clearly, a familiar cold fragrance assailed her nose. It was the smell that made her sleep peacefully during this period of time. Her originally fluttering heart suddenly calmed down. Rongxiu. The vision in front of her became clearer. With the help of Rongxiu, she sat up and looked around. It was empty, and there was a jade bed under her. This is the second floor of Pengmin Mountain. Rongxiu explained. Previously, when you tried to break through to the middle of the 9th level, you encountered an accident and fainted. You have been recuperating here for the past 2 days. In a few words, Rongxiu explained the matter to her clearly. Chu Luiyue rubbed her temples and felt sore all over. Before suddenly, her movements froze and she wanted to get off the bed. Father! But because she had been lying down for 2 whole days, when she suddenly got up, her vision turned black. Her legs went soft, and she almost fell to the ground. Rongxiu picked her up by the waist and frowned. Your body hasn't fully recovered yet, so you can't run around for the time being. For the past 2 days, he had been using his force to nourish her body, and it was not easy for her to recover 50 to 60%. But she still needed to recuperate well, in order to completely recover. After all, failing to break through was not a small matter, not to mention trying to break through to the middle of the 9th level. Only her physique was strong enough to withstand the impact at that time. If it was someone else, the situation would be even more serious, and it was very likely that they would not be able to continue cultivating. Chu Luiyue was full of anxiety and grabbed Rongxiu's sleeve tightly. But father is in danger now. If something really happened to him, Chu Luiyue would definitely not be able to forgive herself. For such a long time, she had always wanted to save her father, but she was always delayed by things like this and that, so it had been delayed until now. But in fact, as long as she wanted to, she could go. Rongxiu held her wrist. If you go now, where are you going? Do you know where he is now? This sentence was like a basin of cold water, instantly calming Chu Luiyue down. She closed her eyes, and the strength in her body seemed to have been sucked out in an instant. That's right. She only knew that her father should be in the world of God, but she did not know where exactly he was. The only thing that could be connected to her father was broken, which was equivalent to breaking the last bit of connection. How difficult would it be to find him again? Rongxiu held her in his arms and gently patted her back. He lowered his voice with tolerance and gentleness. Don't worry. I've already sent people to secretly investigate. There should be news soon. Chu Luiyue rested her forehead on his shoulder and nodded gently. Rongxiu you. Elder Meng had just walked down the stairs and was about to say something when he saw this scene, and his voice came to an abrupt stop. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1432. At this moment the air seemed to have frozen. The surroundings were silent, and even the breathing had become earth-shattering. The space seemed to have begun to shrink silently, squeezing towards the center, suffocating everyone. Elder Meng was dumbfounded. Even though he had been in the Divine Ruins world for many years, and had seen countless storms, he was still shocked when he saw this scene. Rongxiu and Chuyu were hugging each other? More importantly, it was not an ordinary hug. This natural intimacy, no matter how he looked at it, didn't seem right. Even if they were biological brothers, it shouldn't be like this? Although Elder Meng didn't say anything, his heart was already in turmoil. In comparison, Rongxiu was calmer. After hearing Elder Meng's voice, a hint of surprise flashed across his eyes, but it quickly disappeared and returned to normal. Elder Meng was stronger than him, and his attention was all on Chu Luiyue just now, so he didn't notice Elder Meng's arrival. But so what? Rongxiu gently patted Chu Luiyue's shoulder again. Be good, go back and have a good rest. Chu Luiyue originally wanted to ask a few more questions about her father, but in this situation, no matter what, she couldn't. She nodded, withdrew from Rongxiu's arms, and turned to look at Elder Meng. Thank you for taking me in, Elder Meng. Although Rongxiu didn't go into detail, she knew that it must be thanks to Elder Meng that she and Rongxiu could stay here. Not to mention other things, she really felt much more comfortable here than outside, and it was more convenient for her body to recuperate. She had to thank him no matter what. But how could Elder Meng listen to her now? He nodded slowly and stiffly. Oh no, it's nothing. Your body is injured, rest first. Even when he spoke, he seemed to have no soul. Chu Luiyue obediently returned to the jade bed to lie down. Rongxiu put one hand behind his back and said indifferently, She just woke up. I was about to go and tell you. Elder Meng's mouth twitched. Tell him about it. He did not see Rongxiu's intention at all. It's good that you're awake. Elder Meng took a deep breath and swallowed his words with great difficulty. This old man also has something to discuss with you. Follow me. Rongxiu gently nodded. Yes. Meng Lao turned around and went up 2 flights of stairs. He couldn't help but turn his gaze to Chu Luiyue, and their eyes met. Chu Luiyue blinked. Elder Meng, is there anything else? No. For a moment, Elder Meng had an inexplicable feeling. He quickly withdrew his gaze and quickly went upstairs. His figure quickly disappeared up the stairs. Rongxiu and Chu Luiyue looked at each other and smiled. I'll be right back. Chu Luiyue nodded. After Rongxiu left, Chu Luiyue was the only one left on the 2nd floor. Originally, she wanted to rest for a while more, but her heart was worried about her father, and her heart was unable to calm down. After thinking for a while, she took out the doctor's book that Elder Wanzheng had left behind and started reading. After returning from the primeval north, she had broken through to the 9th stage. Moreover, the black pyramid in her body had a long crack, and it was just a hair's breadth away from breaking completely. She recalled many things, including many high-level Xian formations and prescriptions. Now that she could not use her force, she could only look at the medical books. After those memories came back, it was as if she had learned them without a teacher. She naturally grasped those things, especially the prescriptions. Although they were extremely complicated, she could recite them backwards. Chu Luiyue vaguely felt that she seemed to have reached the threshold of breaking through to the doctor's realm. However, after her previous failure, she became more cautious. Rongxiu followed Elder Meng up to the top floor. Ordinary people were not qualified to enter this place, and Rongxiu was an exception. On one hand, Elder Meng, who had been violently stimulated, had lost his mind. Other than here, he could not think of any other place to have a good chat with Rongxiu. On the other hand, Rongxiu had been here before. After reaching the top floor, Elder Meng raised his hand to seal the barrier, and then sat down in his usual seat. After Rongxiu followed him, he saw the door floating in the middle. He narrowed his eyes, and a dark light flashed in his eyes. He quietly retracted his gaze and stood 5 steps away from Elder Meng. Elder Meng, you said you have something to discuss. What is it? Elder Meng had one hand on his head. When he heard this, he could not help but look up and look at him with a strange expression. You really don't know what this old man wants to ask? Rongxiu said calmly. Please enlighten me, Elder Meng. However, Elder Meng didn't fall for his trick and snorted fiercely. First, tell me what happened between you and Chuyu. If he could not figure it out, he would not be able to sit still. Hearing this, Rongxiu smiled slightly. Didn't you see it just now? She just woke up and said she wanted to go out. She got up in a hurry and almost fell, so I went over to help her. Elder Meng was skeptical. He did not see the first part. He only saw the last part. What's more, Was that supposed to be helping him? The two of them were clearly hugging each other. He had known Rong Xiu for several years. According to his understanding of Rong Xiu, he would never do such a thing. Unless, in Rong Xiu's heart, that person's status was extraordinary. But looking at Rong Xiu, it was obvious that he would not say anything more. That was true. Chuyu, he was handsome and had outstanding talent. When he smiled, he was indeed very likable. But he was a real young man. Didn't Rong Xiu already have a princess? What was he thinking? The two of them fell into a silent confrontation. After a while, Elder Meng's eyes inadvertently swept across the door. His expression suddenly relaxed and tiredness appeared in his eyes. With a sweep of his horsetail whisk, he rubbed his eyebrows. Rong Xiu, now that you are married, you should know your limits. Rong Xiu raised his eyebrows slightly. These words. I heard from Bo Yen that your princess was chosen by you, and you seem to be very satisfied with her. You should like her, right? Rong Xiu's expression became more subtle. He nodded. Of course. Elder Meng hesitated for a while before he said with difficulty, I know that the girl left and did not return and hurt your heart. After that, you went to look for her personally, but you went through several life and death situations and came back with a body full of injuries. But that is all in the past. Now that you have a princess, you should treat her well and not. He sighed. Some words should not be said by him. But if he did not say it, no one would care about Rong Xiu's matter. So, even if Rong Xiu did not like to hear it, he still had to say it. Thinking of this, Elder Meng's expression became more serious. He said, that brat Chuyu is indeed somewhat similar to that girl. However, if you treat him as a substitute for that girl, it's unfair to both of them. Rong Xiu's eyelids twitched violently. Digression. I won't keep you waiting today. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. mobile users, please browse and read for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1433. What's going on? Rong Xiu rubbed his eyebrows helplessly. Elder Meng, you worry too much. Those two were obviously the same person. Besides, he couldn't do such a thing. The relationship between Chuyu and I can't be explained in a few words. But don't worry, it's not what you think. Elder Meng looked at his expression and was a little shaken. Really? Rong Xiu withdrew his hand and raised his thin lips with a faint smile. Do you think Chuyu will accept it if I really do that? Of course not. That boy looked clean and handsome, and always had a smile on his face. But in fact, he wasn't someone who could be easily manipulated. Otherwise, how could he have caused so much trouble? Seeing Rong Xiu's personal guarantee, Elder Meng was relieved. There was no need for Rong Xiu to lie about this kind of thing. But the relationship between the two was really strange. He had to ask about it when he had the chance in the future. Okay, let's not talk about this first. You know what you're doing. Elder Meng stopped this topic and flicked his horsetail whisk. His gaze shifted slightly as it went over Rong Xiu's shoulder and landed on the floating door. I called you here for a more important thing. Go and see if there's anything wrong with this door. That was why he went down just now. Rong Xiu turned around and raised his eyebrows. Actually, I've been wanting to ask you before. When did you move this door up? Elder Meng narrowed his eyes. About 10 days ago, I think. At that time, I felt that there was something wrong with the fluctuation of the door, so I moved it up alone. After a period of observation, I found that there was something wrong with it, but I'm not sure, so I asked you to come and take a look. Rong Xiu stared at the door for a few seconds and suddenly smiled. You've been guarding this door for several years. No one else knows it better than you, right? If you think there's something wrong with it, then it must be. Elder Meng still felt a little uneasy. The situation is a little complicated this time. Take a look first. Seeing that Elder Meng was so insistent, Rong Xiu did not decline. He took a few steps forward and stopped in front of the door. He raised his hand and slowly placed his palm on the door. It was slightly cold to the touch, and a faint chill drilled into the bottom of his heart from his palm. However, there was also a hint of heat in his eyes. That wave of heat was very ethereal. It passed by in a flash, and was almost impossible to distinguish. It was as if something was restless and wanted to rush out. But at the moment it was about to come out, it turned back. Rong Xiu withdrew his hand, his expression calm. How is it? Old Meng leaned forward and asked anxiously. At first, he did not want to involve Rong Xiu in this matter. But now that Rong Xiu was here, and he felt that there was something wrong with this door, he decided to ask for Rong Xiu's opinion. Rong Xiu pondered for a moment and looked at Elder Meng. What do you think? Elder Meng frowned, his expression grave. I think that thing seems to be waking up. When he first sensed the fluctuation, he might be able to convince himself that it was a misunderstanding. But after the second and third times, it was still the same, and the movement was getting bigger and bigger. This made him vigilant. Rong Xiu smiled. Since you have already made a decision, why ask me again? But this is not right. Elder Meng finally could not hold back. He quickly stepped forward, flicked the horsetail whisk in his hand, and pointed at the door. That girl is still nowhere to be found, not even a shadow. How can this thing make such a movement? Or does this mean that she is coming back soon? Speaking of the second half of the sentence, Elder Meng's expression was uncertain, but there was a faint trace of joy in his eyes. Thinking that Rong Xiu was still standing here, he quickly restrained himself. Many people knew that Rong Xiu liked that girl, but now they basically did not mention it. A few years had passed, and everything had changed. Rong Xiu already had a princess. Moreover, that girl seemed to be even more unsuitable. However, Rong Xiu's expression was normal, as if he did not care about this. He thought seriously for a moment, then nodded thoughtfully. It's not impossible. Indeed, she was coming back soon. You think so too? Elder Meng was relieved when he heard this. Previously, he was worried that this meant that something had happened to that girl. But now that Rong Xiu said that it meant that she was coming back, his uneasiness and worry were reduced. Rong Xiu's eyes moved slightly, and he glanced at the door from the corner of his eyes. If she had not failed to break through 2 days ago, you don't have to worry. Everything should be fine. Rong Xiu added. Elder Meng breathed a sigh of relief. Then, I'll wait for her to come back. Seeing that Rong Xiu seemed to have really let go of the past, Elder Meng finally let go of the last worry in his heart. There's nothing else. Take good care of Chuyu. Rong Xiu nodded. Then Rong Xiu won't disturb you any longer. With that, he cupped his hands and turned to leave. Elder Meng looked at his back and sighed in his heart. Sigh back then. What a perfect pair of golden boy and jade girl. Now it had turned out like this, forget it. Rong Xiu had already stopped thinking about it, so why should they join in the fun? Elder Meng's hand slowly brushed the door. The exquisite relief sculpture was uneven, leaving a smooth and warm touch in his palm. This girl, her heart is really big. Yuntian Tower. Wanzhong Mountain. The sun was setting, and the last warm orange afterglow dyed the clouds in the sky with a faint layer of gold. After kneeling for an entire day, Jiang Jiwan finally relaxed her body and rubbed her sore and numb knees. Although she had been here for a few days, she was still not used to such intense punishment. Anyone who maintained the same kneeling posture from morning to night for 12 hours would not be able to endure it. But she had to endure it even if she could not. Who asked this to be her only way out now? Jiang Jiwan looked up. The mountaintop was peaceful. She did not know when the clan leader would come out of seclusion. She could not help but think about it resentfully. But after thinking about it, she felt a little hopeless. The clan leader had already been in seclusion for a few years, and there were no signs of him coming out. Now, she did not know how long she had to wait. Crack. A crisp shattering sound was suddenly heard. Jiang Jiwan's heart skipped a beat. She hurriedly looked over. An inch-long crack had actually appeared in the center of the gigantic Xian formation, at the center of the mountain peak. A weak and pure light shone from within. This was, Jiang Jiwan's eyes suddenly lit up, and a bold guess appeared in her mind. Crack. At the side, another crack appeared. As if some mechanism had been activated, the entire Xian formation started to move. Those cracks followed the lines of the Xian formation and appeared one by one. Not long after, a brilliant light shone from below and enveloped the entire mountaintop. A vast and majestic aura spread out from within. Sensing the pressure, Jiang Jiwan was not frightened at all. Instead, she was ecstatic. The clan leader was coming out of seclusion. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1434. Boom. A loud sound suddenly came from the sky. It was deafening. The sky, which had been clear just now, quickly darkened. Dark clouds gathered and the wind howled. Jiang Jiwon looked up and was even more certain of her guess. It must be. The clan leader must be coming out of seclusion. And looking at the situation, he was obviously going to break through. This commotion quickly attracted the attention of other people in the Yuntian Tower. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In just a few moments, several figures had already gathered around. Among them were the black armored guards in charge of guarding the Myriad Bell Mountain, and some respected elders. Even 36 respected Elder Ming, and the others had already heard the news, and quickly gathered over. Everyone looked at the center of the commotion, the Myriad Bell Mountain. In the dark sky, only the Myriad Bell Mountain was bright and dazzling. This is the clan leader coming out of seclusion. Someone in the crowd could not hide his shock and muttered. The voice was very soft and low. Which one of those who appeared here was not a top expert? This sentence clearly fell into everyone's ears. In fact, this was also what they were thinking. The Myriad Bell Mountain was the place that the clan leader had specially chosen for his seclusion. It had been very quiet for the past few years, and did not cause any commotion. Now, the Xian formation at the top of the mountain had been activated. Everything was open, and the energy of heaven and earth was violent. The answer, there was only one. Rumble. Numerous silver lightning bolts swam crazily in the black clouds. The aura was shocking. Jiang Ziyuan's hair and clothes were fluttering in the wind, looking extremely messy. That terrifying aura descended from the sky and instantly enveloped the entire Myriad Bell Mountain. Intense pain rolled through her body. Her face turned pale, and she spat out a mouthful of blood. She almost rolled down from the top of the mountain. She hurriedly grabbed a rock beside her and firmly nailed herself to the ground. She could not leave. She could not retreat. The more it was like this, the more she had to persevere until the end. When the clan leader came out, he had to see her first. With this belief, Jiang Jiwon's originally weak body exploded with great potential. Her face was hurting from the wind, and her body didn't seem to belong to her anymore. She was in so much pain that she felt numb. Only his hands were still tightly hugging the rock, refusing to let go. In the next instant, the huge Xian formation suddenly split open from the middle. Clang! The entire Myriad Bell Mountain trembled violently. A figure suddenly rushed out from below. Almost at the same time, countless Tianlei slashed down from the sky. Boom! Boom! Myriad Bell Mountain was like a sea of thunder. A terrifying restless energy spread out in all directions. Bang! The barrier outside 10,000 Bell Mountain shattered with a loud bang. 36 respected Elder Ming's expression froze, and his sleeves fluttered. Silver satin lock. A long silver satin flew out and expanded with the wind. In the blink of an eye, it wrapped around the waist of the Myriad Bell Mountain. When the violent energy collided with the silver satin lock, it was as if it was absorbed and quickly dissipated. Jiang Jiwon, out! 36 revered Elder Ming loudly shouted. One end of the silver-colored satin flew up with the wind and arrived not far behind Jiang Ziyuan. As long as she turned around and jumped onto the silver satin lock, she would be able to escape successfully. However, Jiang Jiwon acted as if she didn't hear anything. She knelt on the ground and lowered her body, hugging the mountain rock tightly. 36 respected Elder Ming frowned. Immediately, he let out a cold laugh. Jiang Jiwon was still thinking about this at this time. It was really hard on her. Boom! A silver lightning struck towards Jiang Jiwon at an extremely fast speed. She sensed the danger and finally raised her head to take a look. Hide? Of course not. Jiang Jiwon gritted her teeth and resolutely chose to face it head-on. She pulled out a sword, tipped her toes and rushed towards the Tianlei. Crack! The moment the sword in her hand touched the Tianlei, it broke with a loud bang. Jiang Jiwon's heart trembled fiercely, and the thought of escaping instantly appeared in her mind. However, just as the Tianlei was about to strike her head, a boundary suddenly appeared in front of her. At the same time, a powerful force came from the side, supporting her waist and slowly putting her down. Jiang Jiwan's feet touched the ground, and her legs were weak. However, she still turned her head to look at the first moment. She was pleasantly surprised and hot tears filled her eyes. Clan leader. A figure with a slightly stooped figure walked out from the endless light, with a terrifying aura. He walked up and walked in the air. Everywhere he passed, the energy around him froze and dissipated. The heavenly lightning wandered around his body, but quickly disappeared under his skin. It was as if he had swallowed it all. Finally, his footsteps paused and he stopped. He raised his hand, and the last flickering lightning shattered in his palm, and was annihilated. The energy between heaven and earth that was originally restless and chaotic seemed to have frozen at this moment. This scene caused the hearts and minds of everyone present to tremble. At this moment, they were finally able to see the true appearance of this old man. He was wearing a navy blue robe, and his figure was not considered tall. His face was old and ordinary, and his hair was silver white. He looked no different from an ordinary old man. Except for his eyes. They were old, calm, and unfathomable. When he looked over, it was as if the stars were disappearing and the sun and moon were reincarnating. It was as if there was a vast universe in those eyes. Everyone around him fell silent. Bailey June looked around, and the wrinkles on his cheeks seemed to have deepened. Wherever his gaze landed, everyone involuntarily felt reverence and lowered their heads. In a daze, they actually had the feeling of kneeling down and submitting to him. Many people were secretly shocked. The clan leader had been in seclusion for a few years, and he really broke through again. Now this pressure really made people. I really haven't come out for a long time. Bailey June sighed softly. His voice was deep and weathered, but no emotions could be heard. Congratulations, clan leader, for coming out of seclusion. Suddenly, an excited voice that could not be concealed came from the quiet crowd. 36 respected Elder Ming glanced to the side. When Jiang Jiwan was in danger, he did not come out. Now that the clan leader had come out of seclusion, his reaction was very fast. Of course, it was hard to say whether it was intentional or not. Respected Elder Yu Jing's expression was excited, and his old face was flushed red. Clan leader, you've finally come out. These few years we've missed you so much. In these few years, Rong Xiu had been bold and decisive, vicious and merciless, and had completely taken control of the entire Yuntian Tower. If the clan leader still did not come out, Rong Xiu would have dealt with them together. Respected Elder Yu Jing's words reminded everyone. Immediately, everyone bowed in unison. Congratulations on coming out of seclusion, clan leader. Bailey June smiled slightly, but probably because he had been in seclusion for a long time. His smile seemed a little stiff, and there was a strong sense of distance. No need to be so polite. As he spoke, his figure moved, and he walked to Jiang Jiwan's side. His expression became much gentler, and it was full of love. Child, why don't you know how to hide? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. Chapter 1435. With so many people rushing over, the first person Bailey June saw and asked about was Jiang Jiwan. However, everyone was only stunned for a moment. They exchanged tacit glances and quickly accepted the situation. It was like this in the past anyway. There was nothing strange about it. There were so many people in Yuntian Tower, and there was no lack of outstanding people among the younger generation. However, none of them could compare to Jiang Jiwan. He had personally raised her by his side, so she was naturally different from others. Jiang Ziyuan's tears, which she had been holding back for a long time, fell down like they were free. She was so happy that she felt wronged. She was really pitiful. If not for the messy wounds and bloodstains on her face, she would have looked even more pitiful. However, when Bailey June saw this, not only did he not despise her, but he felt even more distressed. What's wrong? Yuan? Why are you crying? He took another step forward and gently patted Jiang Jiwan's head. Look, isn't Grandpa coming out in one piece? In the entire Yuntian Tower, Jiang Jiwan was the only one who could call him Grandpa. Grandpa Chun. Jiang Jiwan hurriedly wiped her tears, but she cried even harder. I've made a fool of myself in front of you. What nonsense are you talking about? Bailey June's heart ached when he saw this. He could not help but frown. He did not notice it before, but when he got closer, he realized that Jiang Jiwon's condition was really terrible. Her breathing was disordered, her body was covered in bruises, and her face was haggard. There were also shocking bloodstains on her body and face. This was definitely not because of the Tianlei power just now. As soon as he came out, he noticed that Jiang Jiwon was nearby and had been carefully watching over her. Logically speaking, she would at most be a little frightened. How could she possibly be so seriously injured? What happened to you? Bailey June's expression became serious. Did someone bully you? Jiang Ziyuan pursed her lips, wanting to say something but hesitating. No. But from Bailey Chun's point of view, it was clear that he was being bullied. Bailey Chun consoled her with a few words. Don't worry with Grandpa here. I definitely won't let you suffer the slightest grievance. After he finished speaking, he looked at respected elders Ming and the others. He suppressed the anger in his heart and asked, what the hell is going on? Why was Jiang Jiwon at 10,000 Bell Mountain? How did the injuries on his body come about? In his impression, the little girl was always lively and elegant, dignified and generous. When had she ever been in such a sorry state? 36 Respected Elder Ming sneered in his heart. The patriarch of the Yuntian Tower was also a weirdo. He had never married in his entire life, and had no descendants. His personality was arrogant and stubborn. The Yuntian Tower had always been under the control of the Bailey clan. The Bailey clan master's clan was huge, and there were many branches under him. Who knew how many good seedlings there were? However, Bailey June's attitude towards them was always cold and strict. He only doted on Jiang Jiwon. When Jiang Jiwon came to the Yuntian Tower for the first time when she was a few years old, Bailey June took a liking to her and kept her. He personally taught her. He treated her as if she was his own granddaughter. Although Jiang Jiwon's background was slightly lower than the children of the Yuntian Tower, because of Bailey June's care, her treatment was comparable to that of the eldest daughter of the Yuntian Tower's first wife. And Jiang Jiwon herself had long been used to this feeling. She had always treated the Yuntian Tower as her home. She was not a member of the Bailey clan, but becoming a princess consort was excellent. Especially when she first saw Rong Xiu being brought back. She fell in love with that cold and arrogant young man. She had always thought that everything was rightfully hers. Therefore, when another woman appeared and took over the position of princess consort, snatching away everything that should have belonged to her, she became hysterical and full of resentment. It's a long story. 36 Respected Elder Ming said calmly. Clan Master, let's head to the ethereal hall. Let's talk about it together. Putong. As soon as Jiang Jiwon walked into the hall, she immediately kneeled on the floor. Her eyes reddened once more. Yuan, what are you doing? Get up. Bailey June, who had just taken his seat, felt his heart ache when he saw this scene. All these years, Jiang Jiwon had never kneeled to anyone in the Yuntian Tower. How did it end up like this? However, Jiang Jiwon refused to get up. Instead she cried, Grandpa Chun, Yuan is in the wrong. Please punish her. Seeing this, Bailey Chun could only suppress his emotions and ask anxiously, what's wrong? Jiang Jiwon looked up. In the surroundings, 36 Respected Elder Ming, Respected Elder Yu Jing, and the others were all gathered here, sitting on two sides. It wasn't convenient for her to say many things in front of these people. She could only say what she could say. Jiang Jiwon's mind raced, and her expression became more and more sorrowful. Grandpa Chun, Yuan did something wrong and angered my master. He doesn't want me anymore. Bailey June was stunned. 36 Respected Elder Ming kindly explained. She was expelled from Lingxiao College. The college didn't announce the reason, but this matter has already caused a huge commotion. The entire Divine Ruins world knows about it. She had utterly embarrassed herself. Jiang Jiwon clenched her fists in her sleeves, and her nails dug into her palms. She wanted to defend herself, but she couldn't say anything. He had no choice but to swallow his resentment. Bailey June frowned deeply, and he didn't say anything for a long time. He didn't expect this to happen. No matter how much he doted on Jiang Jiwon, He had to admit that this matter was a huge stain on both her and the Yuntian Tower. After a long while, he took a deep breath and asked in a low voice, "Your injuries? They were left behind when I went to the northern region of the primeval world." Jiang Juan lowered her head as she spoke. "They're much better now. Grandpa Chun, you don't have to worry." Much better? Didn't that mean that her injuries were more serious before? Seeing her compromise, Bailey Chun's suspicions about her being expelled from the Spirit Firmament Academy disappeared like smoke in thin air. He had personally raised Yuan Yuan, and she had always been a good child. Moreover, didn't the elders of the college like her very much? There must be some misunderstanding. At the thought of this, Bailey Chun looked around. Where's Rong Xiao? It's been so long. Why isn't he here yet? Even if he was the Holy Sun now, he shouldn't be so negligent. Jiang Juan wiped her tears and said timidly, "Brother Rong Xiao should still be in the college. It's normal that he can't come for a while. Don't be angry with him." She paused and lowered her eyes again. "I don't know why Sister Princess Consort hasn't come yet. She should have come since you came out of seclusion." Princess Consort? What Princess Consort? Bailey June was confused. Jiang Juan smiled bitterly. "Yes, you don't know. Brother Rong Xiao. He has already chosen a princess consort, and now he's living in the sacrificial god hall." Bang! Bailey June was furious. He slammed the table and rose to his feet. How dare he? Jiang Jiwan had already been chosen as the princess consort, but now Rong Xiao was replaced by someone else. What was he trying to do? Princess consort? How majestic. Guards, call that woman over. Digression. I'll continue at 6 o'clock. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Iowa. Chapter 1436. 36 Respected Elder Ming said casually. Patriarch, the princess is currently cultivating in seclusion in the sacrificial god temple. I'm afraid it's not good to rashly invite her, right? What if it delays her cultivation? This sentence made the servant who was about to rush out stop in his tracks. He stood in place and paced back and forth. On one side was the patriarch, and on the other side was the leader of the elders. Who should he listen to? Normally speaking, he should listen to the patriarch. However, the patriarch had been in seclusion for the past few years, and had never come out. Many things were handled by His Highness the Holy Sun and 36 Respected Elder Ming. Now that His Highness the Holy Sun was not around, 36 Respected Elder Ming represented this force. Even the patriarch had to be courteous. When Bailey June saw this scene, he was so angry that he laughed. How many years had it been? It turned out that the Yuntian Tower had already changed. What, don't you understand this patriarch's words? Bailey June said gloomily and sternly. The two words patriarch in the middle were heavily emphasized. The servant's face turned pale and his body trembled. Just as he was about to leave, he was stopped by 36 Respected Elder Ming. His Highness the Holy Sun has already ordered that without permission, no one is allowed to approach the sacrificial god temple and disturb the princess. What, have you all forgotten His Highness's orders? When 36 Respected Elder Ming spoke, he did not look at Bailey June. His eyes were filled with deterrence. He only swept his gaze across the servants, which was enough to make them tremble with fear. At the same time, he also struck back at Bailey June from the side. The patriarch's identity was noble and unparalleled, but don't forget who was in charge of the Yuntian Tower now. Moreover, the sacrificial god temple had always been the Holy Sun's territory. Even if the patriarch wanted to interfere, he had to think twice. This subordinate does not dare. When the servants who were ready to make a move heard the words Holy Sun, they were filled with reverence and fear. They all retreated and stood in their positions obediently. Bailey June was stunned for a moment. What was this situation? He was the patriarch and had commanded the Yuntian Tower for several years. Now he could not even order a person to move? 36 Respected Elder Ming touched the teacup and felt a little bored. Things have changed with the passage of time. Do you still think that I'm the number one person who means what I say in the past? If that was the case, then wouldn't they and His Highness have been working for nothing these past few years? The hall fell into a dead silence. Jiang Juan didn't expect this either. She originally thought that after the clan leader came out, he would be able to support her and help her repay the humiliation she had suffered. But now, it seemed that this was not the case. Yuntian Tower, his master had already changed. Even Honorable Elder Yu Jing and the others had a hesitant look on their faces and did not say anything. It was unknown whether it was because he didn't want to offend 36 revered Elder Ming, or because he didn't want His Highness, the Saint, to settle scores with him in the future. Only then did Ming 36 raise his head in satisfaction and smile warmly. Clan leader, actually, Princess Consort has always been dignified and sensible, and her etiquette is thorough. The reason why she didn't make it in time today must be because she was still concentrating on her cultivation. Otherwise, if she knew that you'd come out of your closed-door cultivation, she would definitely have come to welcome you. Why wouldn't she come? All the important people of Yuntian Tower are here, but she's the only one who didn't come. Who would be so stupid as to cause trouble for herself? There must be a reason. Bailey June sneered disdainfully. Closed-door cultivation? Cultivation? Could it be that she's a peerless genius and can't even waste this little bit of time? There was no lack of sarcasm in his words. 36 respected Elder Ming laughed out loud, and his expression was bright. Clan leader is wise. How do you know that our princess consort is a peerless genius? Back then, when the Wuji divine dial tested her bloodline power, it reached the same level as His Highness, 11. The smile on Bailey June's face suddenly froze. 11. The Wuji divine dial tested her bloodline power? That's right. Since she's the princess consort, she must pass this test. How could it be so high? For a moment, countless thoughts flashed through Bailey June's mind. The expression that was originally full of sarcasm and ridicule seemed to have frozen. Is this true? That woman, what is her background? The result of the test is really 11? One had to know that in a huge family system like the Yuntian Tower, there was only one 11 genius like Rong Xiao in 1,000 years. How could this woman who suddenly appeared so coincidentally be 11 as well? Jiang Juan's voice lowered as she clenched her fists. She, Sister Princess Consort, tested it in front of everyone. The Wuji divine dial did indeed appear as 11. Although she's an outsider, such talent is still something that we can't. Wait! Bailey June suddenly interrupted her, almost in disbelief. Outsider? You mean she's an outsider? How can this be? Bailey June was about to go crazy. Rong Xiao is really messing around. The Yuntian Tower was a first-rate family in the Divine Ruins world. To be able to sit on the position of princess consort, even if they didn't completely match, they should at least have a good background, right? In the end, she was actually an outsider. Isn't this a complete disgrace to me, Yin Tianke? No way. I will never agree to this. 36 respected Elder Ming dug his ears. He wasn't so angry, and even wanted to laugh. Clan leader, are you serious? This princess consort has talent that doesn't lose to His Highness. In the future, her future will be limitless. If this news spreads, who knows how many families and clans will be envious? Why is it embarrassing when it comes to you? You. Bailey June was speechless for a moment, and his expression changed. This was indeed something that couldn't be refuted. On the other hand, Jiang Juan, 36 respected Elder Ming, raised his chin and snorted. She was expelled from Lingxiao College, pursued by the Liang family. She caused a lot of trouble. And in the end, we have to clean up the mess. This is embarrassing, right? After so many years, this was the first time that someone from the Yuntian Tower was publicly expelled from Lingxiao College. Bailey June's heart choked. Do you know that because we allowed her to return to the Yuntian Tower and covered up for her, our Yuntian Tower's reputation plummeted? Clan leader, do you want to hear how the people outside are ridiculing us? Bailey June was so angry that his face turned green. Enough! Jiang Jiwan sobbed softly. It's all my fault. Bailey June sat back down in frustration. That so-called princess consort. Why did she have to be such a top-notch genius? So much so that he didn't even have a reason to find trouble with her. In the world of God, at any time, one's own strength was the best defense. Also, Jiang Jiwan, if I remember correctly, the princess consort is only 17 years old this year. She's younger than you by a few years. This old man thinks that you don't have to continue calling her sister anymore, right? 36 respected elder Ming reminded in a leisurely manner. Jiang Jiwan felt as if she had been ruthlessly slapped a few times. She didn't even have the mood to cry anymore. She just wanted to disappear from this place immediately. She didn't understand. The clan leader had already come out of seclusion. Logically speaking, it was her turn to make a comeback. But why? Why was everything wrong? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1437. Jiang Jiwan still did not understand. Yuntian Tower had undergone earth-shaking changes in the past few years. Rongxiu held great power and was highly respected. Even though the clan leader had come out of seclusion, he was no longer as powerful as before. Now Rongxiu was the top person here with the most authority. Shang Guanyu was the princess consort that he had personally chosen. Even if these people did not respect him, they had to respect him, right? Not to mention, Shang Guanyu's talent was amazing. Only someone with a screw loose would want to go against them. Bailey Jun looked at the scene in front of him and realized in hindsight. After he understood, he gritted his teeth. When he was in seclusion, he had thought about these problems. However, at that time, Rongxiu was still young and inexperienced. He did not take him seriously at all. Who knew that in just a few years, everything would change? How could it be so easy to take back the country that he had lost? After a short silence, Bailey Jun took a deep breath and finally said, Yuan Yuan is the legitimate daughter of the immortal water tomb. Can Yuntian Tower really sit by and do nothing when she is in trouble? Besides, she is already here. What's the point of talking about this? Everyone silently exchanged glances, all of them revealing meaningful expressions. Look, he was still protecting her. They did not know what kind of destiny Jiang Jiwan had to be protected by the clan leader. However, if Jiang Jiwan continued to be tormented like this, even Yuntian Tower would not be able to protect her. 36 Ming could not be bothered to continue discussing Jiang Jiwan's matter with him. Since the clan leader insists, then let's forget about this matter for now. We will wait for His Highness the Holy Sun to come back and make a decision. According to Rongxiu's character, he might not be able to tolerate Jiang Jiwan. Bailey Jun's lips moved, but he swallowed the rebuttal that was at the back of his throat. After a moment, he calmed down and stood up. Since the princess consort is so busy, I will go and see her personally. 36 respected Elder Ming's eyes flashed with a hint of fierceness. He also stood up and calmly blocked Bailey Chun's path. With a faint smile, he said, Don't worry. Patriarch, I'm afraid this isn't too appropriate, right? You are an elder, and she is a junior. No matter what, she should be the one to meet you. If word of this gets out, won't people say that our Yuntian Tower's princess consort doesn't know etiquette? Without a doubt, there would be another wave of curses when the time came. Besides, even if he went to the sacrificial god temple now, he wouldn't be able to see it. Bailey Jun paused and looked at him suspiciously. He didn't know if it was an illusion or not, but he always felt that 36 revered Elder Ming seemed to be stopping him, not wanting him to go to the sacrificial god hall, and even more not wanting him to see the new princess. Could it be that there was something fishy about this? Jiang Jiwan stopped crying. She got up and wiped her tears. Then she walked to Bailey Jun with red eyes. Grandpa Chun, you have just come out of seclusion today. You must have a lot of things to do. Let's put this matter on hold for now. She paused for a moment. Ever since she became the princess consort, she has been staying in the sacrificial god hall, and hasn't come out much. She must be busy with her cultivation and breakthrough, right? No matter how diligent she is in her cultivation, she can't do it like this. She doesn't even have the time to come out and meet someone. Bailey Jun harumphed coldly. Yuan, this matter has nothing to do with you. You don't have to get involved. This old man wants to see how difficult it is to meet this princess consort. As he spoke, he flung his sleeves and strode forward like a shooting star. 36 revered Elder Ming couldn't stop him anymore. After pondering for a moment, he followed after him. There were quite a few people behind him. Out of various thoughts, they quietly followed after him. After walking out of the ethereal hall, Bailey June looked up. The sacrificial god hall stood at the peak of upsetting peak. A powerful barrier shrouded it. From here, one could only see the white mist drifting gently. As for the specific scenery, one couldn't see it clearly. Jiang Jiwon stood behind him. Looking at the palace above, she gritted her teeth. In the past, she had always been able to enter and exit the sacrificial god hall as she pleased. But now, she had fallen into such a situation. Without saying a word, Bailey June flew up. 36 revered Elder Ming's heart felt as if it was being gripped tightly by something. Bailey June was the clan head. Even though he didn't have any actual authority now, he was still the most respected person in the Yuntian Tower in name. He had the authority to enter the sacrificial god hall directly. If he were to discover that the person he was looking for wasn't in the fuselage hall, then wouldn't all the hard work he had put in during this period go to waste? However, if he were to step forward to stop him, it would be too obvious. There was no guarantee that he wouldn't attract attention. 36 revered Elder Ming held his breath as he stared intently above. Bailey June's speed was very fast. In just a few breaths' time, he arrived before the sacrificial god hall's independent barrier. Several heavily armored soldiers looked over and bowed respectfully. Greetings to the clan head. Bailey June nodded. He knew that these people were Rong Xiu's most trusted aides. Since he had no intention to argue with them, he went straight to the point. Is the princess here? This old man wants to see her. Isn't this giving enough face? As long as it was someone with a brain and a face, they would be so embarrassed that they would panic. At this moment, a figure hurriedly rushed over from behind. Since the clan head has arrived, I hope that the clan head will forgive us for not being able to welcome you. Umo bowed respectfully with a smile on his face. Bailey June frowned, feeling somewhat dissatisfied in his heart. However, he also knew that these people from the sacrificial god hall would never get involved in matters outside of this place, so it wasn't good for him to get angry. Where's the princess? She can't still be cultivating in seclusion, right? Uemo smiled. The clan head is wise. The princess is indeed on the verge of breaking through. I'm afraid it's inconvenient to disturb her. Bailey June had already expected this answer, and was about to walk in. Then this old man will wait here. Whenever she's free, she can come out and meet me. The smile on Umo's face froze. This roar. A lion's roar that was filled with killing intent resounded through the heavens and earth. In the next moment, a vigorous white figure stepped on the air and came over. With a few flashes, it appeared in front of Bailey June. It was Shue. It stood in front of the barrier and looked directly at Bailey Chun. Its icy blue eyes were filled with a cold and indifferent aura of disdain. Roar. It roared towards the sky. Waves of pressure. Bailey June's expression changed. This beast, did it not intend to let him in? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. Chapter 1438. Shue snorted. Wasn't it obvious? Was there a need to ask? Seeing Shue's arrival, Uemo heaved a sigh of relief. However, he still had to put on an act. Shue, the clan head is going to enter the sacrificial god hall and wait for the princess consort. Don't cause trouble. Shue licked its claws, revealing its white teeth. Its expression was indifferent, as though it had turned a deaf ear to all of this. Clearly this time, it was determined to block the entrance. Bailey June felt that this was ridiculous. He was the clan head of the Yuntian Tower, and he could freely enter the sacrificial god hall. But now, he was actually blocked by a beast. This was the biggest joke in the world. Thinking quickly, Bailey Chun's eyes turned cold. Anyone could tell whose intention this was. It was obvious that Rong Xiu didn't want him to enter. Furthermore, it was done so openly. There were so many people watching below. Rong Xiu's actions didn't leave him any face at all. Move aside. Bailey June reprimanded with a dark expression. Shue stretched its back and glanced at Bailey June casually. It didn't move. Its intention couldn't be any clearer. Uemo rushed forward with a troubled expression. He looked at Shue and then at Bailey June clan head. This You know that Shue Shue has always been stubborn and won't listen to anyone. This little one apologizes to you first. Why don't you come another day? Today is the day that you came out of seclusion, and it should be a celebration. Don't be unhappy because of such a small matter. Uemo said sincerely. Even if he didn't consider them, he should consider the group of people who were looking at them in the square below. Did he still want his face? If they fell out, it wouldn't be beneficial to anyone. Bailey June naturally didn't want to make a scene. What was the point of arguing with a beast? However, it was too difficult for him to vent his anger. Clan head, why do you have to be so calculative with Shue Shue? 36 Respected Elder Ming heaved a sigh of relief. He slowly walked over and spoke with a smile. Her Highness is in the sacrificial god temple. Do you think she can run away? If you want to meet him, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. You've been in seclusion for a few years. Now that you've finally come out, it's indeed a joyous occasion. Uemo was right. No matter what, they had to celebrate. How about we tell you about the situation of the Divine Ruins world and the Yuntian Tower over the past few years, and then let our subordinates prepare. He personally spoke in a sincere tone, which was equivalent to giving Bailey June a way out. Bailey June wavered when he heard the last sentence. In this short period of time, he had indeed discovered that the Yuntian Tower had undergone tremendous changes. He urgently wanted to understand the situation, so that he could have a better understanding of the situation. His Highness, the Chosen Saint, has not been around recently, so there are many things that you have to decide on. 36 Revered Elder Ming's smile was genuine. Bailey June's heart calmed down, and the expression on his face finally improved. Then, let's deal with these things first. As for, he glanced at the sacrificial god temple. We'll talk about the rest another day. He didn't believe that this Shangguan Yu could be so arrogant for so long. Seeing them return, Jiang Jiwan gritted her teeth. They were already at the door. They couldn't even enter. There must be something wrong with that Shangguan Yu. At this moment, someone flew over from afar. Miss Jiang, there's a letter from the Immortal Water Tomb. Lingxiao College, Pengmin Mountain. Chu Luyue was sitting on the Millennium Frost Jade bed, quietly and seriously flipping through the medical books in her hands. A strange fluctuation suddenly came from outside. Elder Meng! Elder Meng! Chu Luyue recognized this anxious voice. It was Elder Wensi. Why was he here? Chu Luyue was curious. She was about to get up and take a look, but suddenly remembered that she was locked up here. It didn't seem right to rashly go out now. Thus she obediently sat back down. Rong Xiao happened to come down from upstairs at this time. Hearing the footsteps, she looked back. The two of them looked at each other. Chu Luyue carefully sized up Rong Xiao, and didn't find anything unusual. She was slightly relieved and pointed outside. Elder Wensi is here. He seems to be looking for Elder Meng for something urgent. Rong Xiao walked to her side and smiled. Don't worry, Elder Meng will take care of it. Chu Luyue nodded. Sure enough, Elder Meng's voice came from upstairs. Wensi, what's the hurry? Let me in first. I have to talk to you in person. Hearing that the voice was a little off, Elder Meng opened the barrier and let Elder Wensi in. Elder Wensi's footsteps were hurried, his expression anxious. Elder Meng, bad news. He walked into the hall on the first floor and searched around, but suddenly his footsteps stopped. Where's Chuyu? At this time, Elder Meng's figure flashed and appeared in front of Elder Wensi. He went to rest by himself and is not here at this time. What do you have to say it. Elder Wensi hammered his palm. Sigh, this kid is in big trouble. Hearing this, Chu Liyue's brows moved slightly. Rong Xiao looked back and looked down. Why do you suddenly say that? Elder Meng was a little surprised. Recently, that kid has been fine with this old man and hasn't done anything. It's the northern land of chaos. Elder Wensi's brows were tightly knitted. I don't know who spread the news outside, saying that the matter of the northern land of chaos was done by Chu Yu and the Black Demon sect together. They also said that the real Heavenly Square Sacred Cauldron has long been with Chu Yu. Everything is just a conspiracy between him and the Black Demon sect. This news has spread like wildfire outside, And now all the major clans and families are asking for a thorough investigation of Chuyu. Digression: recently several friends have fallen ill, or their family members have fallen ill, and I'm very emotional. People are very fragile. Everyone must be healthy and happy. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1439. Chuliu's heart suddenly tightened. Rongxiu turned around and shook his head at her, indicating for her to calm down. The voices continued to come from downstairs. What's going on? Elder Meng was also stunned by the news, but his first reaction was disbelief. Chuyu is Rongxiu's man. How could he have any connection with the Black Demon Cave? Moreover, the Heavenly Square Cauldron is one of the 10 great sacred artifacts, and it has been lost for thousands of years without a trace. Why is it suddenly said that Chuyu has it? Such a treasure was with that stinky brat. Who would believe it? I don't believe it either. But this news has already spread outside. We can't just ignore it. Elder Wincy was also very anxious. This time, they didn't come in person, and they all changed to letters, but the wording was strict and their attitude was clear. Now that Bo Yen is dealing with this matter, he asked me to come over and check on Chuyu's situation. No matter what, they couldn't avoid it this time. The Black Demon Cave's status in the Divine Ruins world was not low, but their reputation was terrible. This was because their cultivation method was extremely evil and tyrannical. Furthermore, most of the people in their sect were also vicious and vicious. Their methods were cruel. The other families and sects in the Divine Ruins world rarely interacted with them. Many of them had deep enmity with them. It was a pity that the Black Demon Cave's strength was tyrannical, and they were not to be trifled with. So until now, the best choice was to stay away from them. Now that Chuyu's name was connected to the Black Demon Cave, how could they not care? If it weren't for the fact that Elder Bo Yen and Rongxiu had solemnly warned them, and had more concerns, they would have directly charged over. Needless to say, the rumor also said that the Heavenly Square Cauldron was already with Chuyu. If it was an ordinary treasure, it would be fine, but this was one of the 10 great sacred artifacts. In the Divine Ruins world, there were a few families that had the 10 great sacred artifacts, and they had more confidence than others. It was not an exaggeration to say that such a treasure was enough to directly promote a second-rate family to a first-rate one, and it was the kind that had a high status and a lot of power. Who wouldn't be tempted? Within the Divine Ruins world, aristocratic families and clans stood in great numbers. Wanting to occupy a place in this intense competition was simply as difficult as ascending to the heavens. But if he had the 10 great sacred artifacts, all of this would be easily solved. Therefore, this time, it wasn't just the first-rate aristocratic families who sent letters to question him. Even some second-rate aristocratic families began to secretly make moves. The situation was urgent, otherwise, Elder Wincy would not have rushed in like this. Elder Meng, this matter is of great importance. Chuyu will not be able to avoid it no matter what. Bo Yen asked me to take a look. How is his body recovering? If you've recovered, we'll go over and discuss how to deal with this matter. Elder Wincy finally revealed the purpose of this trip. Elder Meng furrowed his brows and looked solemn. Since it involved the Black Demon Cave and the Heavenly Square Cauldron, it was indeed troublesome. But Chuyu had just failed to break through to the middle stage of the 9th stage a few days ago. Now was the crucial time to recuperate his body. How could he go out like this? Wasn't this taking his body and future as a joke? Chuyu, there are still some things that I need to take care of. Can Bo Yen wait a little longer? Elder Wincy asked. Then, how long will it take? Half a month, no, 10 days. Elder Meng said with some uncertainty. In fact, in this situation, if it was an ordinary cultivator, they wouldn't be able to recover without 2 or 3 months. Fortunately, Chuyu's physique was better, and Rongxiu had rushed over in time, and had been helping from behind, which allowed Chuyu to recover so quickly. But no matter how fast it would still take a certain amount of time. Elder Wincy smiled bitterly and awkwardly. 10 days. Do you think that's possible? Those people wanted nothing more than to rush over again and take Chuyu away. Waiting for Elder Bo Yan's reply was the only concession they were willing to make. How could they be willing to wait for 10 days for nothing? Even if it was 5 days, they would still be very anxious. What can we do? How far do these people want to push Chuyu? He's only 17 years old. Elder Meng was also furious. Although every time Chuyu came in, he would act very impatient, but in reality, he liked this child in his heart. Pengmin Mountain's position was special. For a long time, he was the only one who had been silently guarding it. Loneliness, coldness, and boredom. Occasionally, there would be some students who made mistakes and were locked up. But most of them were scared witless, their faces pale, and did not dare to say a word. When the punishment time was up, those bastards would run away faster than anyone else. But Chuyu was different. He was talented, smart, and the most important thing was that he was lively and witty, very interesting. He said that he did not want to see him, but in fact he still missed him a little. Now that he heard all these messy things, of course he could not help but speak up for Chuyu. Chuyu's failure to break through was already tragic enough, and now he was being splashed with dirty water for no reason. What was this? Elder Wincy laughed bitterly. They won't care about this. Last time, Bo Yan and Rong Xiu stepped in and barely protected him. But at that time, although everyone had their suspicions, no one had any evidence, so they compromised. Do you think that this time they will be sent away so easily? Even if one used their toes to think, they would not. With their own interests mixed in, who would be able to watch from the sidelines? Elder Meng's chest seemed to be on fire, as if it was going to rush out in the next moment. Elder Meng. A clear and calm voice came from upstairs. Both Elder Meng and Elder Wincy were shocked, and looked up at the same time. Chuyu. Elder Wincy opened his mouth. Why was he on the second floor? And the one next to him? Isn't that Rong Xiu? He's actually here too? Elder Wincy, I'll go with you, Chu Luiyue said with a calm expression. No. Elder Meng immediately objected and frowned. Your body. You have to stay here and recuperate for a while. If he went over now, who knew what would happen? If they made trouble again? With Chuyu's small body, could he withstand it? Chu Luiyue smiled, and a trace of gratitude to Elder Meng emerged in her heart. She knew that Elder Meng was thinking for her. But things had already gotten to this point. There was no point in hiding anymore. They had already stepped on top of her head, and she still had to endure? No matter what the consideration was, Chu Luiyue knew that she had to come forward. She walked down the stairs, and Rong Xiu was one step behind her and followed her down. Thank you for your kindness, Elder Meng, but this matter started because of me, so I should face it personally. Chu Luiyue curved her lips and smiled. Elder Meng, Elder Wency, and Elder Zhang were a little stunned. The young man in front of them was clean and handsome, with a gentle smile, and no trace of nervousness could be seen. This kind of bearing, it really made people look at him in a new light. Elder Meng's heart wavered a little. Are you sure? Those people are not that easy to deal with. Chu Luiyue blinked. I have a clear conscience, so why should I be nervous and afraid of them? As she spoke, she looked at Elder Wency. May I ask, Elder Wency, do you know who spread this news? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1440. This was the question that Chu Luiyue wanted to know the most right now, whether it was connecting her to the Black Demon Cave, or revealing that the Heavenly Square Cauldron was with her. These things were all extremely secretive. All along, she had been very careful, afraid of revealing the slightest bit, because she knew too well that if this news were to spread, it would bring her a lot of trouble. But she did not expect that no matter how careful she was, she would still be tricked. She thought that she had hidden it very well, but she did not know that she had been secretly targeted. Who was the other party? How much did they know? Chu Luiyue was not sure. She had too many secrets hidden in her body, and any one of them would cause a huge storm. And with her current strength, it would be very difficult to deal with these problems. Elder Wency was stunned for a moment and shook his head. We don't know yet. It seems that in one night, those aristocratic families all knew. Bo Yan has already sent people to investigate, but it would be strange if they could find out. The other party obviously came prepared, So how could they make a mistake on such a small matter? Then someone sent the news to all these people at the same time? Chu Liyue thought to herself. It's not impossible, no. It should be like this. Elder Wensi hesitated for a moment and agreed. The letters from these aristocratic families were sent almost at the same time. If they spread the news 1 to 2, 2 to 3, their reaction would not be so orderly and fast. But, who was it? Chu Liyue smiled. The Divine Ruins world is vast, and all the aristocratic families have their own territories. They are all very far from each other, and it is not an easy thing to tell them all this news together. There was a hint of mockery in her black jade-like eyes. In order to deal with her, the other party had put in a lot of effort. Chu Yu. Elder Meng's face was solemn as he listened, and the wrinkles on his face were all wrinkled together. Who did you offend? The other party wanted to spend so much effort to deal with him? Chu Liyue touched her chin, then spread her hands and smiled. I have offended too many people, and now I can't think of who it is. Elder Meng and Elder, when she looked at each other speechless. According to Chu Yu's character, it was not impossible for him to do this. But how could this brat still laugh now? Did he know how serious this accusation was? No matter which one was proven to be true, even if he was framed, he would never be able to make a comeback. If any of those aristocratic families were to step on him, Chu Yu would be forever trapped in the 18th level of hell, unable to rise again. Even with the protection of Lingxiao College and Rongxiu, it was still useless. Chu Liyue cupped his fists respectfully at Senior Meng. Thank you for taking care of me during this period of time, Senior Meng. This student is very grateful. Senior Meng knew that she had made up her mind. He looked at her with a complicated expression. You be careful. The corners of Chu Liyue's mouth curled up. He nodded and then looked at Elder Wensi. Elder, let's go. How could Elder Wensi not feel uncomfortable in his heart? However, there was no other way now. He could only take one step at a time. He responded, bid farewell to Senior Meng, and then left with Chu Liyue. Rongxiu followed. Elder Wensi glanced at him, and did not object. Instead, he felt more at ease. It seemed that Rongxiu did not intend to sit back and do nothing. With the support of the Yuntian Tower, their situation would definitely be much better. It would more or less make those people feel a little wary. The few of them left quickly. The door slowly closed, isolating everything outside. There was silence all around. After a long time, Senior Meng sighed softly and turned to go upstairs. Chu Liyue and Rongxiu followed Senior Meng to the Donghuang Bell Tower. This was not the first time Chu Liyue had come. In the few months since she entered the academy, she had come more often than most of the students in the academy. Of course, nothing good happened every time. It was the same this time. In fact, it was even worse than before. The incident with Scarlet Heaven's sword was considered an internal matter of the academy. Considering that she was a student of the academy, the elders would not be too strict on her responsibility. Moreover, she had saved Rongxiu back then. She had made up for her mistakes with her merits, and the matter was over. But this time, with so many aristocratic families pressuring her from the outside, how could it be so easy to solve? Entering the hall, it was solemn. Senior Bo Yan sat at the head of the table, and on the left and right below him sat the elders with important positions in the academy. Senior Wan Zheng was also among them. They're here. Senior Meng Wensi walked at the front, and said as he walked in. Everyone looked over. Chu Liyue immediately felt those gazes pressing down on her, as if they were solid. In an instant, it seemed as if the surrounding air had become sticky and cold. Chu Liyue's face was still calm. She walked straight to the middle and bowed to everyone. Student Chuyu greets the elders. Rongxiu stood beside her, less than half an arm's distance. Seeing that he had also followed over, Senior Bo Yen was a little surprised. He had just asked someone to invite Rongxiu over. But why did he come over with Senior Meng Wensi and Chuyu? As if seeing his doubts, Senior Meng Wensi coughed and explained. When I went to Mount Pengmin, I happened to meet Rongxiu there. Everyone then understood. There was nothing strange about this. Mount Pengmin others could not go but Rongxiu could. Senior Bo Yen nodded, and pointed to a specially reserved empty seat beside Rongxiu. It's good that you're here. Rongxiu, take a seat first. That seat was very close to Senior Bo Yen, and it could be seen how much he valued Rongxiu. Obviously, he did not treat Rongxiu as a student. Today, Rongxiu's identity was the Yintian Tower's holy son. Rongxiu didn't reject the offer as he agreed, and walked over with his long legs to take a seat. Senior Meng Wensi looked at Chu Luiyue worriedly, and also sat down in his seat. The door was already closed. In the spacious and noble hall, it was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. A layer of enchantment gently swayed on the wall, completely sealing off this place. All the sounds and movements here would not be transmitted out. Chuyu, did Wensi explain the current situation to you clearly? Asked Elder Bo Yen in a low voice as he sat up straight and stared at Chu Luiyue with his deep and weathered eyes. Chu Luiyue nodded slightly. I roughly know. Then what do you have to say now? Senior Bo Yen gripped the armrest of the chair tightly with one hand. Are you related to the Black Demon Cave? Did you participate in the matter of the northern region of the primordial wilderness? Also, is the Heavenly Square Cauldron with you? Straight to the point. A short and sharp question. In an instant, the originally quiet hall seemed to become even colder. Countless pairs of eyes fell on Chu Luiyue, waiting for her answer. Chu Luiyue smiled slightly. I have nothing to do with the Black Demon Cave. I am also a victim of the matter of the northern region of the primordial wilderness. As for the Heavenly Square Cauldron, do you think that if I had one of the 10 great sacred artifacts with me, I would still be able to live safely until today? Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1441. The young man's voice was clear and bright, his expression sincere. His pair of dark eyes were like black jade that had sunk into the river, covered with a layer of faint luster. When people looked at him, they could not help but be convinced by him. Everyone was stunned, then their minds were shaken. That's right. If Chuyu really had a treasure on him, and everyone knew about it, how could he be so peaceful for such a long time? Anyone with a brain would take advantage of the fact that not many people knew about it to steal it, right? After all, Chuyu was only a 9th-level martial artist. If the other party really wanted to steal the treasure, there were many opportunities. Chuyu was not their opponent. But now the news had spread everywhere. Everyone was restless and wanted to take a share of the loot. The person who spread the news behind the scenes was obviously targeting Chuyu. How could Chuyu be more attractive than the Heavenly Square Cauldron? Wasn't it obvious that they were targeting Chuyu? Elder Bo Yen secretly heaved a sigh of relief. As long as Chuyu's situation was not like the rumors, things would be much easier. Otherwise, he really did not know how to clean up this mess. Now that the rumors are everywhere, and many aristocratic families and clans believe it, the situation is very unfavorable for you. Elder Bo Yen released his hand, his index finger tapping on the armrest. You have to think of a way to prove your innocence. This did not make sense. It was obvious that someone was deliberately splashing dirty water, but wanted Chuyu to prove his innocence. Everyone knew that these things were not easy to do, but there was no other way. These aristocratic families and clans had more or less lost some people in the northern wilderness, but they could not find the person behind the scenes, so they could not help but feel angry. Now that the rumors were everywhere, they naturally chose to unite and use Chu Luiyue as a punching bag. Therefore, all the conflicts were directed at Chu Luiyue, and Chu Luiyue could only accept it. I know. Chu Luiyue smiled. Previously, because of me, I caused a lot of trouble for the academy. I have not formally thanked and apologized to you and the elders. Who would have thought that something like this would happen again so soon? This student really feels apologetic. She said it very sincerely. Some of the elders who had planned to say it was sooner or later could only shut their mouths. In the end, Chuyu seemed to be quite innocent. Didn't he just follow them to the northern wilderness? Because his luck was good, and he obtained some opportunities, he was targeted. What was wrong with that? Not to mention, he had helped Elder Hua Feng and the others a lot. On the academy's side, most of the people didn't have any opinions about him. This child's luck. Elder Bo Yen waved his hand. That matter, there's no need to mention it. You are a student of our Spirit Heaven Academy. At any time, no one is allowed to slander or bully you. Not to mention anything else. Even if it was for the sake of the Academy's reputation, they would not back down so easily. Chu Liyue's heart warmed, and her lips curled up as she sincerely said, "Thank you, Elder Bo Yan. But there's one thing." Elder Bo Yan's brows were still furrowed. As a condition of compromise, they requested that you give everyone a clear explanation after you come out of Mount Peng Min. About the northern wilderness? Now, I'm afraid the Black Demon Cave and the Heavenly Square Sacred Cauldron have to be added. Elder Bo Yan had a headache. The matter was getting out of hand. The trouble at the front had not been resolved, and so many things had happened at the back. Chu Liyue nodded slightly. Student understands. Since the matter was caused by her, she naturally had to come forward to solve it. Then I'll have to trouble Elder Bo Yan to do me a favor. Speak. Since they want an explanation, I'll give them one. Chu Liyue's lips curved slightly, but her eyes were clear. I'll have to trouble you to send out an invitation and invite them over. This student will confront them face to face and explain everything clearly. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone was shocked. Chuyu? Elder Wan Zheng was the first to lose control. You can't be rash. What was this? They had finally gotten rid of those people with great difficulty. And in the blink of an eye, this kid actually took the initiative to invite them over again? Did he think that it was not chaotic enough? If things were to get out of hand, Chu Yu's situation would be extremely dangerous. Chu Liyue shrugged and looked at him helplessly with a smile. Master, this is the best choice now, isn't it? Lingxiao College could help her once, but it could not help her every time. As long as this matter was not resolved, it would be a hidden danger. Besides, she also wanted to see who was secretly targeting her. She had to find out where the news of the Black Demon Cave and the Heavenly Square Cauldron came from. Seeing Chu Liyue's firm and fearless attitude, Elder Wan Zheng was speechless for a moment. How could he not know the stakes in this? However, after so many years, he only had this one precious disciple, and naturally, he could not bear to part with her. After a long while, Elder Wan Zheng shook his head. Forget it. Since you've already thought it through, then just do it. He would protect her until the end. No matter what, no one could harm a single hair on his disciple. Chu Liyue smiled gratefully and looked at Elder Bo Yan. Elder Bo Yan suddenly looked at Rong Xiao. Rong Xiao, you see. It was all thanks to Rong Xiao that they were able to stop those people the last time. Now that he had made a decision, he wanted to ask for Rong Xiao's opinion again. Rong Xiao leaned against the back of the chair, his posture lazy and noble. He smiled slightly. Whatever she wants to do, let her be. At most, I will take care of it. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1442. Arrogant. Arrogant. But it was so domineering that it made others speechless. Elder Bo Yan had already understood how important Chu Yu was to Rong Xiao during the confrontation with the crowd, so he wasn't surprised when he heard this. However, many of the others present were still shocked to the point of dizziness. He's holding. The other party wasn't just one or two families, but an entire group. Rong Xiao was actually willing to take such a huge risk for Chu Yu. The relationship between the two of them was indeed extraordinary. Because the two of them had never officially explained it, everyone could only make wild guesses. They didn't believe it at first, but now it seemed that they were brothers. While everyone was secretly amazed, they also finally understood the various situations that had occurred before. No wonder. Ever since Chu Yu came, Rong Xiao had been taking care of him. Now he didn't even bother to hide it. However, this was ultimately a matter between Rong Xiao and Chu Yu, so others couldn't say anything. Moreover, with Rong Xiao's help, the pressure on the academy would be reduced by a lot. Elder Bo Yan glanced around. Since that's the case, then it's settled. Huafeng, immediately send out the invitations and ask them to meet in 3 days. Speaking of this, Elder Bo Yan paused and hesitated. It wasn't a problem to invite them, and 3 days was definitely enough. After all, That group of people couldn't wait to appear here directly. But the key was, where should they meet? If they were to fight outside, then Ling Xiao Academy would be outnumbered and would inevitably suffer. But if it was at the academy, if this matter spread, it would greatly affect Chu Yu's reputation. How would the people in the academy view him? At that time, if there were any accidents, Chu Yu would be criticized and ostracized. Chu Luiyue looked up and swept her gaze across Elder Bo Yan's conflicted face. Of course, she knew what Elder Bo Yan was worried about. Elder, let's set it in Fangzhou City. Chu Luiyue said with a chuckle. That place was close to the academy, and it wouldn't be considered as breaking into the academy. It could attack and defend, and was the most suitable place for the academy. Are you sure? Elder Bo Yan was still hesitant. Chu Luiyue nodded. Thank you and the elders for your hard work. This time, I will surely solve all these problems. The elders dispersed and began to prepare for the meeting 3 days later. The matter this time might be a tough battle, so no matter what, they had to do everything well and not make the slightest mistake. In the end, only a few people were left in the room. Chu Luiyue bowed to Elder Bo Yan again. Elder, this student is truly grateful for your help. He was willing to risk the entire academy for her sake. She knew it would not be an easy task. Elder Bo Yan smiled. Don't worry, you're innocent. When the time comes, we'll explain everything. It's not good to drag these troubles on. I'll take this opportunity to solve them all at once. He had had enough of those people's harassment. This time, he had to give them a few tight slaps. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant in the future. Chu Luiyue's eyes flickered. You're right. Actually, you have to thank Rong Xiu for this matter. If it wasn't for him, the other elders wouldn't have been so easy to deal with. Of course, when the time comes, your situation will be much better than expected. As long as there's no evidence, those people won't dare to do anything to you. Elder Bo Yan smiled. Also, not all of those aristocratic families are looking for trouble with you. Some of them are on our side, such as the Meteor sect. Chu Luiyue came to a realization, and the corners of her lips curled up. Shi Ruier must have mediated in this matter. She had saved Shi Ruier's life, but she had never thought of asking her to repay the favor. She did not expect Shi Ruier to be so concerned about this matter. Under such circumstances, it must have taken her a lot of effort to persuade the Meteor sect to stand on her side. This was not an easy task at all. So you don't have to be too worried. When the time comes, just say what you want to say. Elder Bo Yan felt a little more confident now. Let's see who dares to wrongly accuse you. Chu Luiyue nodded with a smile. That's right. Could it be that those people would dissect her on the spot and examine her bit by bit? She wanted to see how lively this scene would be. Lingxiao College's invitation was sent out very quickly. The aristocratic families, who were ready to make a move, were stunned when they received the news. Then they became excited. Lingxiao College would actually do such a thing. To be so daring, how confident were they? However, these were not important. What was important was that this time, everyone's focus was on Chu Yu. He would face everyone head-on. Black Demon Cave, Northern Wilderness, and Heavenly Square Cauldron. All the mysteries would be solved one by one. For a time, the entire Divine Ruins world was in a state of turmoil. What? Lingxiao College invited all of them to gather in Fangzhou City? Ethereal Hall. Bailey Jun looked at the news in his hand and could not believe his eyes. What is Lingxiao College trying to do? For many years, the aristocratic families did not have close ties with each other, and they had always maintained a delicate balance. Yet Lingxiao College actually wanted to break this balance. Even if they had a strong foundation, this was too daring. Elder Yu Jingzuan stood respectfully below. Patriarch, you don't know, but recently, rumors about Chu Yu have been spreading all over the Divine Ruins. The Spirit Heaven Academy was forced to do this, because they had no other choice, right? Bailey Jun frowned. Chu Yu? Who's that? Jiang Jiwan, who was pouring tea by the side, glanced at Yu Jingzuan with jealousy. The academy removed her from the list, but in the blink of an eye, they went to such an extent for Chu Yu. Even if they treated him differently, they shouldn't go overboard. She suppressed the jealousy and resentment in her heart and said softly, Chuyu is a new student who joined the academy a few months ago. He's quite talented, and his relationship with Rong Xiao seems to be quite good. These words immediately attracted Bailey Jun's attention. Oh, what do you mean by not bad? Wasn't Rong Xiao a loner in the academy? Jiang Juan bit her lips. Rong Xiao is personally guiding him in his cultivation, and they both live in Jiuheng Mountain. He's really taking good care of him. Last time, when Chuyu made a mistake, it was Rong Xiao who interceded for him. Pa! Bailey Jun slammed his cup down heavily. A dull thud sounded. Digression. I have some matters to attend to, so I'll be leaving very late. Perhaps it's after dark. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from LoveNet. Chapter 1443. Jiang Juan shuddered and her lips turned pale. She quickly put down the teapot. Grandpa-chun, I shouldn't have said so much. Yuan, this has nothing to do with you. Bailey Jun looked at her and felt sorry for her. He immediately softened his tone. However, in his eyes, there was still anger that had not been extinguished. I just think that Rong Xiao has gone too far. Back then, when you followed him to the academy, he didn't take care of you at all. Later, he just left you alone in Lingxiao College. Didn't he think about how much trouble a young girl like you would encounter in such a strange place? I thought that he was cold and indifferent, so I didn't care. But now what is this? He's helping someone else train a disciple. He personally trained her, and even lived together in Jiuheng Mountain. Even Jiang Jiwan didn't receive such treatment. What right did Chuyu, who came out of nowhere, have? Even if he doesn't like you, he shouldn't treat you so differently. This makes you. How could Jiang Jiwan put her face in front of others? Jiang Jiwan lowered her head and said in a low voice, Brother Rong Xiao has his own considerations. Please don't blame him. Bailey Jun looked at her and felt even worse. Jiang Jiwan grew up by his side. When had she ever suffered so much? Now that she had been expelled from Lingxiao College, Chuyu could persuade the entire academy to support him. How could she feel good? Yuan, don't worry. Grandpa will definitely stand up for you this time. Bailey Jun said and stood up. Jiang Jiwan was shocked and looked up at him in surprise. 2 drops of tears were still hanging in the corners of her eyes. Grandpa-chun, what are you doing? Bailey Jun snorted coldly. Going to Lingxiao College. Jiang Jiwan's heart skipped a beat. Even Elder Yu Jingzuan, who was standing below, was somewhat dazed. He almost thought that he had misheard. Patriarch, are you serious? Bailey Chun walked out of the room and glared at him coldly. Do I look like I'm joking with you? Elder Yu Jingzuan broke out in a cold sweat. How could that be? This is not appropriate. But clan leader, Lingxiao College didn't send an invitation to our Yuntian Tower. It's not easy to go. Bailey Jun didn't care at all and sneered. What's wrong? I've been in seclusion for a few years. Now, I'm not even qualified to go to Lingxiao College? No, that's not what I meant. Elder Yu Jingzuan's blood froze. He hurriedly explained in a panic. It's just that this matter involves a lot of things. Many first-class families will definitely go to Fangzhou City. When they gather, no one can say for sure what will happen. You've just come out of seclusion, and there are many things in Yuntian Tower that you need to deal with personally. Even if he used his toes to think, he would know that that place was about to become a battlefield. Why would he go there at this time? However, Bailey Jun didn't take his objection to heart. He waved his hand. For the past few years, I've been in seclusion and didn't get involved in the affairs of Yuntian Tower. I don't see anything happening. Now that I've been away for a few days, what can I do? You don't have to follow me. I'll go there alone. Although Bailey Jun hadn't been in seclusion for long, he had accumulated too much dissatisfaction and resentment towards Rong Xiao in his heart. Power, status, dignity, everything that once belonged to him had now been taken away by Rong Xiao. Not only did he want to avenge Jiang Jiwan, but he also wanted to make a show of force. He had to make Rong Xiao understand that he, Bailey Jun, was not dead yet. Seeing that he seemed to have made up his mind, Elder Yu was speechless for a moment and didn't know what to do. Grandpa-chan, I'll go with you. Jiang Juan finally reacted and hurriedly followed him. Bailey June looked at her disapprovingly. That place is very messy. What are you going to do there? You haven't fully recovered from your injuries yet. So during this time, just stay in Yuntian Tower. On one hand, he was worried about Jiang Jiwan's health and didn't want her to go back and forth. On the other hand, Jiang Jiwan had been expelled from Lingxiao College. Although he could ignore this matter, it didn't mean that others could. It was easy to imagine what would happen if Jiang Ziyuan were to appear there again. It was inevitable that she would be mocked and ridiculed. Jiang Juan keenly caught the look on Bailey June's face. She had been by his side for many years and could read his mind the best. Therefore, at this moment, she directly guessed Bailey June's many concerns. This immediately made her feel uncomfortable all over. Expelled, she was no longer a student of Lingxiao College. Furthermore, he had been chased out in such a disgraceful manner. It wasn't easy for her to escape from the Liang family's pursuit and those people's mocking eyes. It was indeed not a wise choice to go back now. However, she really didn't want to miss out on this good show. After thinking for a moment, Jiang Jiwan's eyes lit up. Then, Grandpa Chun, how about I change my identity and go with you? Bailey June was stunned. Respected Elder Yu Jing frowned. I'm afraid that's not appropriate. If they were found out, it was fine if Jiang Jiwan was embarrassed. But if the entire Yuntian Tower was implicated, how would it end? Although Elder Yu had deep ties with the Tomb of Immortal Water, he wasn't completely brainless. No matter what, the Yuntian Tower was their foundation. If the Yuntian Tower's reputation was ruined, or even worse, as an elder, he would bear the brunt of it. However, at this moment Bailey June spoke. It's not impossible, but you have to promise that you won't reveal your identity when the time comes. Jiang Jiwan immediately agreed happily. Yes. Clan leader this. Elder Yu wanted to persuade him again, but Bailey June glared at him. Then the two of you must be careful. Bailey June brushed his sleeves. His expression was calm, but there was a hint of arrogance in it. Of course, with his current strength, wouldn't it be easy for him to protect Jiang Jiwan? Jiang Jiwan stepped forward and hugged his arm coquettishly. I knew that Grandpa Chun loves me the most. Bailey June smiled and tapped her forehead. Hurry up and get changed. Hey, I'll be done soon. Lingxiao College. The elders were busy. The news that heroes from all over the world were about to gather in Fong State City to confront Chu Yu quietly spread among the students. Due to the importance of this matter, the elders thought about it again and again and decided to announce it. After all, even if they didn't announce it now, the students would still know when they arrived outside Fong State City in a few days. The atmosphere of the entire college became tense and cold. It was rare to see people loitering outside. As the time approached, everyone seemed to be nervous. However, at the center of the storm, at this moment, was calmly cultivating in the tower of Pengmin Mountain. Digression, I'm finally home. Tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1444. After discussing the meeting with Elder Bo Yen and the others, Chu Luyue returned to Mount Pingmin and entered the tower again. This time, Chu Luyue's reason was simple. To nourish her body. The Millennium Frost Jade bed on the second floor was extremely effective for nourishing the body. Seeing her return, Elder Meng naturally thought that she was here for this. He agreed without hesitation. Elder Bo Yen and the others were hesitant at first, but seeing that Elder Meng's attitude towards her seemed to be good, they were relieved. They could more or less see that Chu Luyue did not go to Mount Pingmin to suffer. With Elder Meng taking care of her, nothing else was worth mentioning. Rong Xiu did not follow her back. Instead, he returned to Mount Jiuheng and was busy with something. It was quiet and empty all around. Chu Luyue sat cross-legged on the Millennium Frost Jade bed. Her eyes were closed as she cultivated quietly. She could even hear her own heartbeat clearly. The surrounding force of heaven and earth constantly flowed into her body, circling in the water droplets and spreading to her limbs and bones. This force nourished her muscles, bones, flesh, and blood little by little. The damage caused by the failure of the breakthrough was also gradually recovering. Her body was tough to begin with, and her recovery ability was astonishing. If it were anyone else, it would take at least 2 to 3 months to fully recover from the injuries caused by this situation. But for her, she was almost fully recovered in just a few days. Of course, Rong Xiu's help was indispensable. As Chu Luiyue cultivated, she silently sorted out the recent events in her heart. She had no dealings with the Black Demon Cave. The only thing she had a connection with was that strange soul. It was the one that had been deposited in Sheng Guanwan's body back then. That person was indeed from the Black Demon Cave. But the last time they confronted each other outside Fang Province City, he had admitted that he had left the Black Demon Cave. Now he had nothing to do with the Black Demon Cave. Where did this brilliance come from? What Chu Luiyue cared most about was the Heavenly Square Cauldron. Back then, she had obtained the Heavenly Square Cauldron in the Empire of Yaochen. Very few people knew about this. She knew that this thing was not simple, so she had always been very careful, and did not dare to take it out easily. Even the last time in the northern wilderness, she did not use the real Heavenly Square Cauldron. Then, who was the one who spread the news? Chu Luiyue could not figure it out. Since she could not figure it out, after struggling for a while, Chu Luiyue decided to give up. In any case, in a few days in Fangzhou City, everything would be revealed. The most important thing now was to increase his strength as soon as possible. Beginner stage, against those people, it would be an easy death. In the world of God. With every increase in strength, one's Meng Yue otherwise, it was it. However, there were less than 3 days left. If he wanted to break through now, it was too difficult. Even. Chu Luiyue held her breath and focused her mind. In the next moment, she began to gather the force in her body again, and all of it surged toward her dantian. Sigh. I'm afraid this girl has really forgotten about me. On the top floor, Elder Ming leaned lazily on the back of the chair. He held his head with one hand, and flicked his horsetail whisk with the other. In front of him, there was still the same door that was silently suspended in the air. Ever since he sensed that the thing inside was restless and wanted to rush out, Elder Ming began to suspect that the girl was coming back. But after waiting for a long time, there was no news at all. His heart began to beat like a drum. Could it be that he was wrong? And for some reason, this thing had not moved for the past 2 days. Elder Ming sighed faintly. Back then, he did not intend to help. But he could not resist the girl's coaxing and pestering, so he took this hot potato. For this thing, he had spent a lot of effort in the past few years. Elder Ming was immersed in the memories of the past. Suddenly his expression froze, and he quickly stood up. He walked to the stairs and looked down. The stairs were intertwined. Standing here, one could not see the situation below clearly, but the entire tower was under Elder Ming's control, so he could accurately know what was happening below. That kid is trying to break through again. Elder Ming muttered in disbelief. Crazy. This is crazy. How many days has it been since the breakthrough failed? That kid's body hasn't fully recovered yet, right? And now he's doing it again. Elder Ming's figure flashed, and he went straight to the second floor. The lower he went, the more he could feel the changes in the heaven and earth force around him. The power in the space seemed to be guided by something, and all of it converged toward a certain spot on the second floor. Elder Ming did not need to look carefully to know that it was where Chu Yu was now, and the heaven and earth force was clearly going toward that kid. Elder Ming stopped at the corner of the stairs on the 3rd floor. From here, he could see Chu Yu cultivating on the 2nd floor. The young man sat quietly, his shoulders drooping naturally. His hands were on his knees, palms facing the sky. He closed his eyes, and the faint glow shone on his porcelain-like face, making him look like he was in a dream or a fantasy. Elder Ming's hand gripped the railing tightly. His brows were deeply furrowed, and his heart was filled with mixed feelings. Now Chu Yu was clearly in the middle of a breakthrough. It would not be good to interrupt him now. He could only wait. Feeling the surging force around him, Elder Ming gritted his teeth. This kid, he's too bold. In all these years, he had never seen anyone succeed in making 2 breakthroughs in such a short period of time. He's courting death. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1445. This divine power was snatched from Taizu of the northern underworld. Chu Luyue had always thought that she would not be able to completely integrate it before she reached the god realm. But now such a shocking scene had actually happened. And it looked so easy and simple. Chu Luyue subconsciously held her breath. She could feel that the divine power had already integrated into her Yuan meridian and blood. And it was this blessing that caused Chu Luyue's aura to soar. She was only one step away from the middle stage of the 9th rank. She closed her eyes, but the waves in her heart could not be calmed down for a long time. What was this place? And where did this terrifying pressure come from? Most importantly, why was everything here helping her so naturally? Countless thoughts flashed through Chu Liyue's mind. Because of the arrival of the first-rate families and clans outside, the atmosphere in the entire academy was very tense. Many students had spontaneously gathered at Qingming Square. There were also some who chose to stay in their own places, silently waiting for things to develop. On a steep mountain peak, Luo Yinming and Luo Yinlin were facing each other. A huge, translucent chessboard hung between the two of them. Streaks of silver light outlined the chessboard. It was scattered all over the place. It looked like half of the chessboard was already down. Luo Yinming crossed his arms and frowned. He stared at the chessboard in front of him, seemingly in a difficult position. He had been in this position for 15 minutes. Luo Yinlin, on the other hand, looked much more relaxed. He was relaxed and patiently waiting. Time passed slowly, and beads of sweat gradually appeared on Luo Yinming's forehead. He raised his arm and tried to make a move, but at the critical moment, he hesitated and retreated. He wavered. Finally, after about 7 or 8 minutes, he smiled bitterly in dejection. "Fourth brother, I lost." Luo Yinlin waved his wrist, and the chessboard quickly shrank until it condensed into a thin, translucent piece of paper the size of a palm. That thing flew to Luo Yinming. He was stunned for a moment before receiving it with both hands. "Go back and study it." Luo Yinlin walked over and patted him on the shoulder. "Your comprehension is not bad. You should be able to solve it in half a month." Luo Yinming's lips moved, and he smiled helplessly. "I'm useless. I've disappointed you. Compared to ordinary people, or even most Xian master cultivators, he could be considered as one of the best. But compared to the truly top figures, he was very clear that he was lacking. This talent was something that could not be caught. No matter what. Luo Yinlin laughed. "My level is higher than yours to begin with. If you win, where will your fourth brother's face go? Besides, talent alone is not enough to become a powerhouse. Yan Ming, you must remember this. Heaven rewards the diligent." Luo Yinming took a deep breath and nodded her head. "Fourth brother." As he spoke, he carefully put away the item in his hand. "Fourth brother, are you two to finish playing to play?" Aazes to zesta him. She was originally here to accompany him to watch the battle today, but when she heard that there was a commotion outside the academy, she left. Luo, how's the situation outside?" Luo Shishir saw that Luo Yinming's face was a little pale, and knew that they must have lost the game. Fortunately, Luo Yinming had experienced this too many times since she was young, and was already used to it. Hence she recovered after a while. Luo Shishir retracted her gaze and frowned slightly. The situation is not very good. Then she briefly recounted what had happened outside. Actually, her knowledge was limited. After all, she was not at the scene. She could only find out a little. Anyway, both sides are in a stalemate now. I'm afraid it's hard to say what will happen next. Luo Shishir was worried and confused. Why did these people have to find trouble with Chu Yu all of a sudden? It was his own luck that he was able to obtain this opportunity. What did it have to do with others? In any case, these people were influential figures in the first-rate clans. Wouldn't they feel ashamed if they were to force a young man like this? Luo Yinlin could not help but laugh after hearing this. "Don't worry. This farce will definitely be loud but small in the end. We'll turn big things into small things and small things into nothing. That kid, nothing will happen to him." Luo Shishir was stunned and quickly asked, Fourth brother, how did you know? I saw that those people's formation was really big. Luo Yinlin saw her reaction and immediately became unhappy. Although he already knew that his sister liked that brat, seeing her so worried, as an elder brother, he more or less had some thoughts in his heart. He snorted lightly and walked to the stone bench at the side to sit down. He poured himself a cup of tea and said, "That kid's life is very tough. Who can do anything to him?" In these few months in the academy, Chuyu had encountered quite a lot of trouble, right? There were a few times when his life was on the line, and he was surrounded by danger. In the end, wasn't he still alive and well? And he was constantly getting stronger at a terrifying speed. If it was anyone else, they would have died long ago. But this kid was always able to survive. He could see now that he could not use normal eyes to look at Chuyu. Besides, now that Elder Bo Yen and Rong Xiu are speaking up for him, it's obvious that they want to support him. With Lingxiao College and Yuntian Tower as his backing, those people won't dare to act recklessly. Whether it was Lingxiao College or Yuntian Tower, they were not to be trifled with. Not to mention that they had joined forces and stood on the same side now. As long as those people were not crazy, they would not completely offend these two forces for Chuyu. When Luo Shishir heard this, she also felt that it made sense. Fourth brother is right. Those people only came because they missed the primordial north and were jealous of Chuyu's situation. If you ask me, the person who instigated this matter behind the scenes has ill intentions, and those who followed the crowd are even more stupid. Offending Lingxiao College and Yuntian Tower, because of such a trivial matter, without any evidence was really not worth it. They thought that by joining forces, they could share the blame equally. But they did not know that revenge was a dish best served cold. After knowing Rong Xiu for so long, he had never seen Rong Xiu stand up for someone like this. He would definitely remember today's grudge. By the way, Rong Xiu said that he was related to Chuyu? He had always been curious about this point. Now that Rong Xiu had admitted it, he naturally had to study it carefully. Luo Shishir's expression was a little strange. He said immediate family, but he didn't say anything else. Luo Yinlin touched his chin and pondered for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was a little erratic. I've never heard that Rong Xiu's mother gave birth to a younger brother for him. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1446. It's time. Elder Bo Yen stood on top of the Eastern Emperor Bell Tower and put away the booklet in his hand. He took a deep breath and turned to walk down. At this moment a person walked over. Bo Yen. The person who came was in a hurry and frowned. It was Elder Huafeng. Elder Bo Yen hadn't seen him for the past 2 days, so he was a little surprised to see him now. Huafeng, why are you here? Elder Huafeng walked forward and stared at Elder Bo Yen. His heart was beating much faster than usual. I have something to tell you. Elder Bo Yen was stunned. Now, the Eastern Emperor bell had already rung, which meant that the people outside had gathered in Fong State City. The agreed time had arrived. As the current ruler of Lingxiao College, he should go out. What did he have to say now? Yes, it's just a few words. It won't take much time, but it's very important. Elder Huafeng was very persistent. Elder Bo Yen rarely saw such an expression on his face, so he nodded. Speak. Elder Huafeng frowned even more as he looked around. Elder Bo Yen smiled. Only the few of us can come up to this place. No one else is here. If you have anything to say, you can say it boldly. As he spoke, he had some doubts in his heart. Why was Huafeng so cautious? But soon he knew the answer. Elder Huafeng took a step forward and said word by word. Bo Yen, do you still remember that I told you before that we were trapped by a huge and complicated Qian formation in the northern region of the primordial wasteland and finally escaped? Elder Bo Yen nodded. At that time, you seem to have said that it was all thanks to Chuyu? Yes. Elder Huafeng's throat was dry. At that time, he had given me a broken Qian formation. After I repaired that Qian formation, I opened the Qian formation that trapped us. After returning, I have been studying that Qian formation. In the end, that Qian formation was related to the first dean, Elder Bo Yan's originally calm eyes were suddenly set off by stormy waves. What? At first, I only suspected it. I didn't dare to be sure. Plus, you've been very busy recently, so I didn't tell you. I went to take out the profound diagram left behind by that person back then, and carefully observed and compared it. Elder Huafeng paused for a moment, before spitting out the following words with difficulty. It's exactly the same. Elder Bo Yan felt his mind go blank. Which scroll are you reading? Elder Huafeng was silent for a while. Heaven's Scroll. Although the first principal did not accept any disciples, he had left behind many precious items. Among them, the Xian formation diagrams were divided into 3 scrolls: Heaven, Earth and Human. Students in the academy could usually read the Human Scroll for free. Some of the more talented ones could even read the Earth Scroll if they performed well. The Heaven Scroll was of the highest level, and was also the most confidential. Even among the elders of the academy, there were only a few people who had the qualifications to observe. The Heaven Scroll has always been sealed within the academy. It is impossible for outsiders to see it. Then how did Chiyu know? Elder Bo Yan muttered in shock. Elder Huafeng smiled bitterly. He said that he saw it by chance in a deserted cave. At first, he did not pay much attention to this statement. However, when he confirmed that the Xian formation was recorded in the Heaven Scroll, the suspicion in his heart instantly exploded. Because the Xian formations in the Heaven Scroll definitely could not be outside. It was even more impossible for it to be carved in some random cave. Where did Chiyu find out about this Xian formation? The reason was a mystery. His explanation at that time was obviously a lie. If it wasn't because this matter was too shocking, he wouldn't have chosen to look for Elder Bo Yan at this time. Elder Bo Yan rubbed his forehead. Could it be that Rongxiu taught him? Rongxiu had gone to see the Heaven Scroll before. There are hundreds of Xian formations recorded in the Heaven Scroll. When Rongxiu went in, he only saw 2 or 3 at most, right? How could it be so coincidental that he bumped into this one? Elder Huafeng let out a long sigh. How could he not think of such a possibility? However, this kind of speculation was simply too illusory. Chuyu obviously knew that the Xian formation was extraordinary. Otherwise, why would he try to get other explanations? If Elder Huafeng hadn't happened to see it, this matter would never have been discovered. The two of them looked at each other and fell into deep thought. Chuyu obviously had a big secret on him. Dang dang dang. A series of hurried footsteps could be heard. An elder came over to urge him. Bo Yan, it's time. We should go out. They waited below for a long time, but didn't see Elder Bo Yan coming down, so they could only come up and ask. He turned his gaze and saw Elder Huafeng. Huafeng, you're here too? Elder Bo Yan nodded, and his expression had returned to normal. I'm coming. As he spoke, he lifted his foot and walked down. When he brushed past Elder Huafeng, the two of them looked at each other without batting an eyelid. Huafeng, you should follow as well. Elder Huafeng suppressed the emotions in his heart. Even if there was really something, it was too late to investigate now. Let's take it one step at a time. If it really didn't work out, he would wait until the matter outside was resolved, and come back to ask Chuyu properly. And, Rongxiu. Fangzhou City. In the center of the city, there was a huge circular square. This square was paved with black and white jade stones, and there was a huge teleportation array in the middle. On the teleportation array, there was a totem of Lingxiao College engraved on it. Without a doubt, this was the totem of Lingxiao College. And this teleportation array was also used by Lingxiao College's students and elders. It was just that in normal times, the people of the Spirit Firmament Academy rarely used this teleportation array. After a long time, it gradually became deserted. As a result, very few people came to this square. But today, the huge square was bustling with noise and excitement. Lingxiao College had already divided the square into different areas according to the invitations that were sent out. The major clans and families each occupied a place, and in the end, they formed a circle. Of course, because they were worried about causing misunderstandings, not many people came. The smallest number was 3 to 5, and the largest number was about 10 people. But there were nearly 20 families that arrived today, so overall, there were quite a number of people. Under the guidance of the Lingxiao College's elders and students, everyone took their seats. Elder when she looked at the empty main seat, and a hint of hesitation and worry flashed across his eyes. It was already time. Why hadn't Bo Yen and the others arrived yet? Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air came from behind. At the same time, a deep laughter spread throughout the entire square. Haha, it's so lively here. Everyone raised their heads and looked over. When they saw who it was, they were all shocked. Why is the Yuntian Tower's patriarch Bailey Jun here? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. Chapter 1447. Everyone in the Divine Ruins world knew that Bailey Jun had been in seclusion for a few years and had not made any moves. They did not expect him to suddenly appear. Has he come out of seclusion? But I don't think I invited him today, right? After all, the holy son of Yuntian Tower, Rongxiu, was currently in Lingxiao College. Moreover, he had already expressed that he was on the same side as Lingxiao College. Why is Bailey Jun here at this time? Could it be that he's also speaking up for Lingxiao College? Everyone had different thoughts, but they did not show it on their faces. They all stood up and bowed. Putting everything else aside, Bailey Jun's status was indeed very high. Although he no longer had any real power in his hands, he still had to give him face. After all, he was the patriarch of Yuntian Tower. Elder Wensi also led his people forward to welcome him with an eager smile on his face. So it's Patriarch Bailey. Why are you here? We're sorry for not coming out to welcome you. Bailey Chun gracefully landed on the ground, and there was not even the slightest bit of energy fluctuation around him. Everyone was shocked when they saw this. From the looks of it, he had clearly broken through again. Sensing the change in the gazes of the people around him, Bailey Jun's originally depressed mood immediately improved. He knew very well that after he had been in seclusion for a few years, all his power had been transferred to Rongxiu's hands. In everyone's eyes, he was just an empty shell of a patriarch, and there was nothing to be afraid of. However, it was a good thing that his strength had increased. These people naturally had to look up to him. Even if they were thinking nonsense in their hearts, they had to be respectful to him on the surface. At any time, having a strong fist was more useful than anything else. Elder Wensi, you don't have to be so polite. This old man came uninvited today only because he was on a whim. You guys can go ahead and do whatever you need to do. You don't have to worry about me. Bailey Jun stroked his beard and smiled. Elder Wensi cursed in his heart. Easy for him to say. Originally, everyone's seats were already arranged. Now that Bailey Jun had suddenly arrived, they had to find another seat for him. Moreover, he was of high status, so it was impossible for him to casually pull out a stool for him to sit on. After thinking about it, Elder Wensi could only stretch out his long arm. Then please take a seat. Lingxiao College had prepared slightly more seats, because some of them were reserved for the elders of the college. But now there was only one empty spot in the middle. Thinking of this, he glanced at the young man behind Bailey Jun. The young man looked to be about 27 or 28 years old. He was thin and not very tall. He wore a blue and white embroidered robe with a white jade belt around his waist. He had an ordinary face with sharp edges. It doesn't look like anything special. However, out of caution, Elder Wensi still asked a question. May I know who this is? This is little Lu. He came with me on this trip. You don't need to care about him. He can just stand behind this old man. Bailey Jun waved his hand as if he didn't care. Elder Wensi heaved a sigh of relief. It seems that he's just a follower and not an important person. You're welcome. We have spare chairs here. It's just a small matter to add one for this person. As he spoke, Elder Wensi gave his subordinate a look. There weren't many important seats, but there were many ordinary chairs. The other families all had seats, so how could they let this young man stand alone? The chair was quickly moved over and added to the left side of Bailey Jun. Bailey Jun laughed, and the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes deepened. Little Lu, why aren't you thanking Elder Wensi? The young man immediately responded and thanked him respectfully. Thank you, Elder Wency. Strange. I just added a chair for this young man. Why do I feel that Bailey June's mood and attitude are obviously better? Elder Wency muttered in his heart. Maybe it's because he feels that he's valued? After all, this young man is my man. Besides, there are so many people in Yuntian Tower. But Bailey June brought this young man here. It's obvious that he likes him. It's always right to take care of him. Elder Wency suppressed the doubts in his heart and smiled widely. Patriarch Bailey, please take a seat. Bo Yin and the others should be out soon and Rong Xiao. Crack. A sound suddenly came from the side. Everyone looked up in unison. Not far away, the huge enchantment outside the Spirit Firmament Academy had a crack. A few figures flew out from it. It was Elder Bo Yin and the others. Elder Wency and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They're finally here. The atmosphere in the hall also became strange. Those who had not had the time to sit down greeted Elder Bo Yin and the others. At this moment, everyone was very polite. Elder Bo Yin also had a smile on his face. No matter what, he had to put on a show. Elder Wency came over to remind him. Patriarch Bailey is here too. What? Elder Bo Yin was shocked. He looked in the direction he pointed and saw Bailey June. This. Isn't he in seclusion? Why did he come out and even come here? Elder Bo Yan's mind raced, but the smile on his face deepened. Ha ha ha. Patriarch Bailey, what a distinguished guest. Why are you free today? I don't know if Rong Xiao knows. Why didn't he mention it? Bailey June cupped his hands and smiled. This old man came suddenly. Elder Bo Yin won't blame me, right? Why would I? Your presence brings light to Fangzhou City. Haha. Please take a seat. The two of them exchanged a few more pleasantries. On the square, it was a scene of joy and harmony. Finally, a somewhat abrupt voice sounded, breaking this thin layer of illusion. Elder Bo Yin, we're all here. Why hasn't Chuyu appeared yet? Could it be that so many of us are here, but we still can't get him to come? Digression. It doesn't seem good to let everyone wait alone. It got dark early yesterday. Pfft. So I'll update 4 times today and 6 times tomorrow. I'll try to update at noon together. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1448. There was a moment of silence. Elder Bo Yan's expression did not change as he smiled faintly. It's a misunderstanding. Today's situation was initiated by Chuyu to give everyone an explanation. How could he not come? It's probably because of some matters in the academy that delayed him. When she go and rush him? Elder when she responded, and turned around to head towards the academy. Everyone looked at each other in surprise. This was initiated by Chuyu? They had always thought that it was Lingxiao College's idea. On one hand, it was to help Chuyu clear his name. On the other hand, it was to solve this series of troublesome matters. Unexpectedly, it was wasn't that Chuyu only 17 years old? How could he be so daring? Did he know what kind of people he had invited today? It seems that the student of your academy is really a newborn calf that is not afraid of tigers. The man who choked laughed, but he was still a little sarcastic. Elder Bo Yin was calm and composed. The innocent knows that they are innocent. What's there to worry about? The other party's laughter instantly became more awkward. Wasn't this a disguised way of clarifying Chuyu's innocence and pointing at them to slander him? Furthermore, although that child is young, he is a responsible person. After hearing about the previous incident, he felt that it was because he had implicated the academy. No matter what, he had to stand up and explain the misunderstanding to everyone. Look, his body has not recovered yet, and he dragged his sick body to beg me. He said that he had to take responsibility for everything. Elder Bo Yin shook his head and sighed, his tone pitiful. I tried to persuade him, but he did not listen. He is really stubborn. This time no one spoke casually. What did he say? That these aristocratic families had joined forces to coerce a child? Although it was the truth, it did not sound good to say it out loud. It seems that Elder Bo Yin really dotes on that Chuyu. Bailey June suddenly said. Elder Bo Yin raised his eyes slightly as a faint smile appeared on his aged face. Clan leader Bailey, Chuyu is a student of our academy. Isn't it our duty to protect him? Even if it was not Chuyu, if it was any other student in the academy, our position would be the same. Although this answer was polite, there was nothing to nitpick about. Moreover, Lingxiao College had always been protective of its students and treated them well. However, when Bailey Jun heard this, he felt even more uncomfortable. The same for all the other students? Then how were they going to remove Jiang Jiwon's name from the list and kick her out of the academy, making her lose face? If Lingxiao College had not been so ruthless, she would not have had to change her appearance just to come here. Bailey Jun felt sorry for Jiang Jiwon. However, he was still clear-headed and didn't question Jiang Jiwon about her expulsion. If something was really involved, and the matter was blown out of proportion, wouldn't it be even harder to clean up? Let's talk about this in private. Bailey Jun did not ask any more questions. How dare the Yuntian Tower show up again? On the other side, Liang Xiaoxiao, who was sitting in her seat, could not help but curse softly. They are really shameless. Liang Yi glanced at her and his face darkened. Bailey Jun is the head of the family. Why wouldn't he dare to come? If it were someone else, he might have gone up and argued with them. However, it was Bailey Jun. Don't you know how important Jiang Jiwon is to him? Maybe the Yuntian Tower was willing to help Jiang Jiwon this time, because of his instructions. She had thought it was strange before, but now that she saw Bailey Jun, all her doubts were resolved. Bailey Jun treated Jiang Jiwon like his own granddaughter, and had always doted on her. This was something that many people knew. It was also because of this that Liang Xiaoxiao was willing to interact with Jiang Jiwon and get closer to her after entering the academy. Otherwise, with her status as the legitimate daughter of the Liang family, why would she be willing to get close to Jiang Jiwon? However, she did not expect Jiang Jiwon to be so disappointing. Not only was she expelled from Lingxiao College, but she was also implicated in her third brother's death. Liang Xiaoxiao now hated her to the core. I really don't know if the head of the Bailey family still values that bitch after this series of events. Liang Yi did not comment. That's enough. Keep it down. There were so many people here. Some things were not good to say after all. If someone heard it, it would be troublesome. Liang Xiaoxiao could only grit her teeth and endure. When Chuyu came out, she must get to the bottom of it. Outside Pengmin Mountain, Elder Wanzheng and Rong Xiu were waiting for Chu Luyue to come out. They had been waiting since early this morning. The Donghuang bell had been rung, but there was still no movement in the tower. Logically speaking, even if you were inside, you should be the one who heard the bell. Elder Wanzheng glanced at the sky. It has been a while. Why is Chuyu still not out? Could it be that something has delayed him? He was a little uneasy. Although Chuyu was a naughty child, he was usually very sensible when it came to important matters. Why was he late for no reason now? Rong Xiu at the side narrowed his eyes. A faint light flashed across his eyes. Wanzheng, where is Chuyu? Elder Wenqi hurried over. Seeing the two people waiting, his heart was hanging in the air. He's still inside? Elder Wanzheng nodded. I don't know why. There has been no movement. But everyone outside is already here. Elder Wenqi wiped the sweat on his forehead. If it was someone else, it would be fine. But those people were not to be trifled with. How could they keep waiting? Moreover, Boyan had gone out. Chuyu was a junior student, and the focus of everyone's debate. How could he not appear? If he went too late, those people might use this as an excuse. Didn't you ask Elder Meng? Elder Meng had been guarding inside. He should know Chuyu's current situation the best. Elder Wanzheng frowned. Not yet. Then, Elder when she wanted to go forward. He could not delay any longer. Elder Meng has always been a strategist. He should know the importance of today's matter. Until now, he has not let Chuyu out. He must have his own reasons. Rong Xiu at the side suddenly said. His voice was low and sweet. It was as calm as usual. Elder Wenqi's footsteps paused. For a moment he was in a dilemma. Rong Xiu's words were not without reason. If there really was something, it was useless to rush him. But could it be that they really had to wait like this? It won't be long before those people outside start making a ruckus, right? The waiting time was particularly unbearable. Finally, when she finally could not hold back and wanted to rush forward, the enchantment outside Peng Min Mountain suddenly rippled. A slender and tall figure walked out from the gate of the tower. It was Chu Luiyue. "He's out." Elder Wanzheng was very happy. He quickly waved at Chu Luiyue. Chu Luiyue looked up and saw these people. She quickly rushed over. Swish! The next moment her figure was like lightning. She instantly appeared in front of them. When she heaved a sigh of relief. "Chuyu, you finally came out. If you didn't come out, this old man would have barged in." Chu Luiyue blinked and smiled. "Sorry, I took a little more time to break through. I didn't take too long, right?" Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 1449. As soon as he finished speaking, the crowd fell silent for a moment. Elder Wensi looked at Chu Luiyue in shock, and found that her aura was much stronger than before. You broke through?" he murmured in disbelief. "Didn't this kid say that she was in poor health a few days ago?" At that time, Elder Meng was also very worried, which made him worry for a few days. But in the blink of an eye, not only did her injuries heal, but she also broke through? Because Chu Luiyue had the Yuan device left by Dugu Mabao to hide her aura. Even if she was standing in front of them, Elder Wensi and the others couldn't sense her current realm. Chu Luiyue said with some embarrassment, "I just broke through to the middle stage of rank 9. Actually, she could continue to break through. Inside the tower, she seemed to have once again entered that mysterious state. The surrounding heaven and earth force flowed into her body and merged into her bones and blood at an extraordinary speed. The whole process was natural and smooth. Chu Luiyue's mind was firm, and no accidents happened this time. She naturally broke through to the middle stage of rank 9. After that, her body's devouring of the origin power didn't stop there. Chu Luiyue knew very well that if she continued to cultivate like that, she could basically break through to the peak of rank 9 smoothly. On one hand, she had the Tianjing Yuan Meridian now, and was very talented. On the other hand, she had the memories and experience in this area. She could break through directly without the guidance of others. However, after thinking for a moment, she still chose to stop. Every cultivator had the heart to become stronger, and Chu Luiyue was no exception. However, she had always been very cautious in this aspect. Recently, she had been feeling that her breakthrough speed was a little too fast. Even if it was mainly because she had encountered many unexpected opportunities in the middle, she was still very cautious. The corner of Elder Wensi's mouth twitched. "Do you think that's the right word to say?" However, looking at Chu Luiyue's sincere face, he couldn't say anything to refute. This kid is a freak. Didn't he already know about it from the day he entered the school? On the other hand, Elder Wanzheng quickly accepted this fact. "Ha ha ha. As expected of my disciple. Very outstanding." Elder Wensi faintly glanced at him. "Could the filter not be so thick? Even if something strange happened to your disciple, I'm afraid you'd think it was normal." Rong Xiu was the calmest. For the past few days, she had stayed in Peng Min Mountain, and he knew that she wanted to try to break through again. This was not a difficult task for her to begin with. However, what surprised him was that she actually did not break through to the peak of the 9th stage. And even, probably because there's not enough time. Rong Xiu's eyebrows twitched. Forget it. Let's not talk about this for now. It's getting late. Those people are already waiting outside. Let's hurry over. Elder Wensi reacted and hurriedly urged. Chu Luiyue gently nodded as the corners of his lips curled up. All right. Her eyes were as bright as the stars, and her expression was relaxed as if she did not realize what kind of trouble was waiting for her. Elder Wensi sighed in his heart. No matter what, I must protect this kid. Chuyu. Just as the few of them were rushing out of the school, a familiar voice was heard. Chu Luiyue stopped in his tracks and turned to look. A few people were rushing over from the opposite mountain. Luo Shirshir, Luo Yinming, and Zhuo Sheng were all familiar faces. Most importantly, there was a face that he had not seen for a long time beside them. Chu Luiyue's heart skipped a beat, and the corners of his lips curled up. Hongyu, why are you here? Although she came out a few days ago, she went directly to the Donghuang Bell Tower. After discussing things with Elder Bo Yen and the others, she went straight back to Pengmin Mountain. No one told her that Mu Hongyu had come to the school. Now that she suddenly saw her, she was naturally very surprised. Mu Hongyu's almond-shaped eyes were also bright, and she quickly rushed forward. She wanted to give Chu Luiyue a big hug, but when she was in front of him, she suddenly remembered that Chu Luiyue was now using another identity. So she quickly stopped in her tracks. However, the joyful look on his face was clearly seen by the surrounding crowd. I've been here for a few days, but you've been staying at Pengmin Mountain all this time, so we haven't seen each other. Mu Hongyu said excitedly as she looked up and down at Chu Luiyue. Have you been well in the past few months in the school? She had heard about those things, so she could not help but worry. Chu Luiyue could not help but gently knock her forehead. Do I look like something's wrong? Everyone could see that the two of them were indeed very close. Luo Shishir pursed her lips, and her heart ached. She had never seen Chuyu treat any woman so casually and freely. Mu Hongyu was really different. This kind of Chuyu was somewhat different from the polite Chuyu she knew. Luo Yinming glanced at her sister out of the corner of her eye, sighed in her heart, but also breathed a sigh of relief. The onlookers saw more clearly. Chuyu obviously did not like Luo Shishir, and only treated her as a friend. Now, it was best to let her give up before she said anything. Mu Hongyu saw that Chu Luiyue could still joke, and her heart calmed down a lot. I knew you would be able to do it. Chu Luiyue looked at her and suddenly asked in surprise. You broke through to the 9th level? Yes. Just before I came, I broke through at Qi at home. Mu Hongyu stuck out her tongue. It was Master and the others who sent me here. Chu Luiyue immediately understood. It seemed that Diwu Zhangzi and the others helped. At the same time of surprise, Chu Luiyue could not help but secretly sigh. Mu Hongyu's physique and talent were indeed enviable. She relied on various opportunities to break through to the peak of the 9th level in such a short time. However, Mu Hongyu had only cultivated with Diwu Zhangzi and the others in the Red Moon Desert for a few months, and she had also successfully broken through to the 9th level. If this spread out, countless people would be envious. Chuyu Hongyu, if you want to catch up, why don't you wait first? Elder Wensi could not help but interject. This time, Chu Luiyue nodded with a smile. Although she was not afraid of being late, she did not want to put Elder Wensi in a difficult position. You're right. Hongyu, I'll go out first. Wait for me at the academy. Mu Hongyu suddenly took a step forward. Chuyu, I want to go with you. She vaguely knew what was going on outside, and she was very worried. At this time, she did not want Luyu to face it alone. Even if he just stood next to her, it would be good. Elder Wensi frowned. This is not. Okay. Chu Luiyue nodded gently and agreed to Mu Hongyu's request. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from love. Chapter 1450. Chu Luiyue's answer was unexpected. Everyone present was stunned for a moment, almost thinking that they had heard wrongly. That kind of occasion, it was obvious what kind of swords and knives would be. Why did he have to bring someone? Mu Hongyu was very happy, and nodded repeatedly. No matter what, she must not watch Luyu be bullied. Seeing that Chu Luiyue seemed to be determined, Elder Wensi thought for a moment, and did not object. It was just one more student, it did not matter. It's fine if you want to go. But Hongyu, don't talk nonsense when you get there, understand? Mu Hongyu covered her mouth and nodded repeatedly. Then let's go. As soon as Elder Wensi finished speaking, he heard Luo Shishir's voice from behind. Master, I'll go too. Shishir. Luo Yinming and Zhuosheng both looked at her in surprise. Fourth brother had already told them that the Luo family was not invited this time, and that they should try not to get involved in this matter in the academy. Now Luo Shishir wanted to go too? Wasn't this nonsense? But Luo Shishir insisted. She looked at Elder Wensi pleadingly. Master, I promise that I will be honest when I go. I won't say a word. Elder Wensi had a headache. Why did all of them want to go? If they continued to argue like this, there would not be enough time. He made up his mind. Let's go together. In Fangzhou City, on the wide and flat square, there was silence. Everyone was sitting in a circle. At first, they could still exchange a few words with each other. But as time passed, the atmosphere gradually became cold and stagnant. From time to time, people would look in the direction of Lingxiao College. Furthermore, there were some people that had already revealed impatient expressions. If it weren't for Elder Bo Yen and the others holding the fort, they wouldn't have been able to wait any longer. I didn't expect this Chuyu to be so arrogant. A voice sounded in the crowd. It was neither loud nor soft, with a hint of sarcasm. To be the only person in the northern region of the primeval wilderness who has obtained an opportunity is naturally extraordinary. Someone laughed softly, but the laughter was harsh. Elder Bo Yin turned a deaf ear. Wasn't it just a few words? What was there to care about? As long as these people didn't really fight, everything was negotiable. Jean D, who was sitting at the side, stroked his stubble and finally couldn't help but sneer. I heard that Chuyu is only a rank 9 warrior now, and his extravagance is already so grand. If he broke through to the god realm in the future, wouldn't he be even more powerful? At that time, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to even see him. Hey, some people's faces turned ugly. He was merely a junior, yet he had made so many of them wait here and had yet to show himself. He was truly arrogant. Senior Golden Flute, you're wrong. A clear voice that was like a clear spring in the mountains flowed down and broke this oppressive and stiff atmosphere. Hearing this, everyone immediately looked in the direction of Lingxiao College. Several figures were flying out one after another. The person who spoke was precisely Chuyu. Their speed was very fast, and they soon arrived at the square. Countless pairs of eyes swept over the newcomers, and then paused on Rong Xiao and Chu Luiyue for a moment. The meaning was unclear. Only Elder Bo Yen and the others were a little shocked when they saw Mu Hongyu and the others behind them. But in front of so many people, it wasn't too good to ask in detail. But it was just a few students, and it didn't affect the overall situation. Chu Luiyue was still smiling and said, compared to all of you, Chuyu's status really doesn't dare to be presumptuous. It's just that I was delayed by some matters earlier, so I'm late. Chuyu is here first, and I apologize to all of you. With that, she really bent down slightly and bowed to them, and then looked at Jean D with a smile. What you said just now, isn't it a little underestimating the status of all of you here? Was she saying that he deliberately looked down on everyone present? Jean D's face changed. I know that all of you came from afar this time, because of some misunderstandings, and you want to find me for an explanation. Chu Luiyue changed the topic, and had already glossed over the previous topic. Jean D's chest was stuffy, and half of his breath was blocked in his windpipe. It was so uncomfortable that he wanted to die. This Chuyu, extremely cunning and treacherous. He snorted coldly. Escape? Could he escape? Today, he must peel off a layer of skin from Chuyu. The others had already been distracted by Chu Liyue's words. That's right. Since you're going straight to the point, then let's not talk about those nonsense. Chuyu, about some of the recent rumors related to you. Do you have anything to say? On the other side, a black-robed elder stroked his beard and asked in a deep voice. They had to give people a chance to explain. Otherwise, it would seem that they were overbearing and unreasonable. Chu Luiyue nodded slightly. I will give all of you a clear and reasonable explanation. Chuyu, come here. Elder Bo Yen suddenly spoke, waved at Chu Luiyue, and pointed to the seat beside him. Although today's interrogation was directed at Chuyu, he did not want Chuyu to look like a criminal and be bullied and humiliated by these people. Chu Liyue's heart warmed slightly. The seat beside Elder Bo Yen was not a seat that ordinary people could sit on. This represented Elder Bo Yen and the entire Lingxiao College's support for her. She hesitated for a moment, then walked over. On the other side, Bailey Jun had already looked at Rong Xiao. His face darkened slightly. Holy Sun, we haven't seen each other for a long time. Have you even forgotten how to address me? Mobile users, Please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1451. Rongxiu chuckled. His thin, scarlet lips curled into a faint smile, but his deep, phoenix-like eyes were still cold. Greetings, Patriarch. He nodded slightly. Although he was saluting, his imposing manner did not diminish at all. Instead, it made him look even more elegant and noble. In front of Bailey June, he did not give in at all. Bailey June's heart sank. After not seeing him for a few years, Rongxiu seemed to be even more difficult to provoke than before. He still remembered how young Rongxiu was when he chose to go into seclusion. In the blink of an eye, that young man had been reborn and grown into a giant. He had underestimated Rongxiu. I wonder when Patriarch came out of seclusion. I didn't receive any news. Rongxiu chuckled. If I knew, I would have come out to welcome you personally. Bailey June suppressed the waves in his heart. It happened 2 days ago. I wanted to send you a message, but then I heard about what happened here, so I decided to come in person. I thought that I would have to meet you anyway, so I didn't bother them. I see. Patriarch, you seem to have made a breakthrough this time? I really have to congratulate you. This sentence finally made Bailey June's expression relax a little. He snorted and the corners of his mouth twitched. It's not as fast as the Saint's rapid progress in the past few years. This was not a polite remark. After he came out of seclusion, he specifically asked Yu Jing and the others some questions. Among them was Rongxiu's current strength. But in fact, Yu Jing and the others did not know much about this. Because in the past few years, Rongxiu did not spend much time in Yuntian Tower. And every time he came back, he came and went in a hurry. How did they know? It was nothing more than a rough guess. Even so, it was not difficult to guess Rongxiu's basic strength. Bailey June was shocked. Although he was a little unhappy, he could only accept it. Rongxiu was a once-in-a-thousand-years genius of the Yuntian Tower, so it was normal for him to have such a cultivation speed. It was impossible for others to be envious, including him. Rongxiu's gaze swept over the young man beside him, but it was as cold as a knife. Jiang Jiwan's heart tightened. Without raising her head, she could feel Rongxiu's gaze on her, as if he could see right through her. She lowered her head even more guiltily. Her face was disguised, and so was her figure. Even her aura was concealed by Bailey June. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be any flaws. Who is this? Why haven't I seen you before? Rongxiu asked slowly. Bailey June furrowed his brows. Lil Lu, recently promoted from the bottom. I saw that he had a good aptitude, so I took him with me. There are so many people in the Yuntian Tower. The Holy Sun might not know every one of them, right? Rongxiu suddenly laughed. You're right. To be able to gain your favor, he must not be an ordinary person. Eyes are bad. I didn't notice such a person before. He remembered the entire Yuntian Tower, from top to bottom, as long as he had seen it before. Even if it was a lowly servant. And this person, Rongxiu sneered and retracted his gaze. Without that oppressive gaze, Jiang Ziyuan breathed a sigh of relief in her heart. A wave of coldness hit her. And only then did she realize that her back was already drenched in cold sweat. She secretly gritted her teeth. Rongxiu only looked at her twice. How could she be so useless? I hope he doesn't notice anything. Jiang Jiwan wanted to take the opportunity to look at the face that she had been dreaming of. After all, they had not seen each other for a long time. However, she felt very guilty after hearing Rongxiu's words, so she naturally didn't dare to move. She looked down and stood at the side, not daring to say a single word. Bailey June put on a fake smile. The Holy Sun is busy. Naturally, he has no time to care about these things. There was an undercurrent between the two. Many people around them looked over with complicated expressions on their faces. Their thoughts were running wild. It seems like the two most powerful people in the Yuntian Tower don't have a good relationship. Apparently, when Rongxiu was first found in the Yuntian Tower, this Bailey clan leader was very opposed to him being added to the clan's genealogy. He even suggested twice that Rongxiu be given the harshest punishment. That kind of punishment was unbearable for cultivators with decent strength, let alone Rongxiu, who was only a child at that time. If Rong Xiu did not take the initiative to summon the infinite divine dial and test his shocking talent, he would have died there. It was also because of this that Rong Xiu and Bailey Jun's relationship had never been good. Especially now that Rong Xiu had so much power in his hands, he could order the entire Yun Tian K with just one word. Bailey Jun no longer had any real power in his hands. He was only left with the empty title of clan leader. Could the two of them see eye to eye? Please rest first. I will go first. Rong Xiu seemed to have turned a deaf ear to Bailey Jun's sarcasm. After politely bowing, he turned around and left. From the beginning to the end, he had his own noble and arrogant aura. But no one could find fault with him. Seeing the tall and slender figure leave, Bailey Jun felt stifled in his heart. Back then, they had planned to directly dispose of Rong Xiu. But because he had shown great talent, after much debate, they chose to keep him. At that time, he actually did not take Rong Xiu seriously. Even if his mother was a direct descendant of the Yuntian Tower, his father was of humble birth. With such a background, he was destined to never be able to raise his head in the Yuntian Tower. But later, the development of the situation gradually got out of control. It was not until Rong Xiu killed his way out and ascended to the position of the son of saint that he realized that he had completely underestimated this young man. But at that time, everything was too late. Therefore, he could only accept the fact that Rong Xiu had become the son of saint. But he still misjudged Rong Xiu's ambition and ability. Until this time, when he came out of seclusion, he realized that he had never seen Rong Xiu clearly. Everything in the past was just Rong Xiu's little tricks. If he had known, he would have killed him back then. But what was the use of regretting it now? Bailey Jun gritted his teeth, his face grim. On the other side, Rong Xiu did not seem to be affected at all, and sat down directly beside Chu Luyue. Hey, Rong Xiu, your seat is over here. Elder Bo Yin glanced to the side and pointed to the other side of him as a reminder. Rong Xiu leaned back and smiled faintly. It's the same no matter where I sit. Elder Bo Yan's mind turned quickly, and he did not insist. Rong Xiu really put in a lot of effort for Chu Yu's sake. Chu Luyue also turned her head. The two of them looked at each other. She blinked slightly. Originally, she and Rong Xiu were supposed to sit on either side of Elder Bo Yan. But now, he and Elder Bo Yan were sitting on both sides of her. Unknowingly, she was surrounded in the middle like stars surrounding the moon. Was he here to support her? Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1452. The surroundings fell silent for a moment. Chu Luyue narrowed her eyes, retracted her gaze, and looked at the crowd. Sorry for the long wait. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Chu Yu will be honest and tell you everything I know. Her magnanimity stunned the crowd for a moment. She was quite direct. Many people exchanged glances in private. There were so many questions. Which one should they ask first? And who would ask? Chu Luyue was still smiling, seemingly very patient. She did not intend to waste time with these people. The hesitation at this moment was only because they had their own plans. But in reality, their targeting and suspicion would not reduce because of this. Chu Yu, I have something to ask you. The first to step forward was actually Liang Xiaoxiao. Liang Ye was also shocked, and hurriedly gave Liang Xiaoxiao a look. However, Liang Xiaoxiao was determined to speak at this time, and no one could stop her. Chu Luyue nodded slightly. Senior sister Liang, please ask. Liang Xiaoxiao stared at Chu Luyue, as if she wanted to dissect her from the inside out. Let me ask you, how did my third brother die in the primeval north region? Xiaoxiao. Liang Ye could not help but call out to her. This question could be asked in private. Why did she have to ask in public? The people from Lingxiao College were all present. Wasn't she deliberately embarrassing them? Everyone knew that Lingxiao College had always been neutral about this kind of thing. They would never reveal a word in this regard. If the people from Lingxiao College misunderstood, Chu Luyue shrugged and revealed a helpless expression. Sorry, senior sister Liang. You should know the rules of the college. Of course I know. Liang Xiaoxiao did not show any disappointment. Instead, she took half a step forward and continued to ask. I received news that my third brother had asked for help at that time. The elders originally wanted to help, but you stopped them. Is this true or false? As soon as he said this, everyone was stunned for a moment. Then, they all looked at Chu Luyue. If this was true then, Chu Yu had an undeniable responsibility for Liang Xiaokong's death. Even Liang Ye had a doubtful look on his face. This news? Where did Xiaoxiao hear it from? Why didn't he know about it? But since she asked this question then, it might not be impossible. Jiang Jiwan, who was standing behind Bailey Jun, still had her head down, but she was very focused and heard every word clearly. She pursed her lips. Her hand in her sleeve pinched a corner of her shirt, unconsciously twisting it. I did, Liang Xiaoxiao still asked. It seemed like his father's secret message wasn't completely useless after all. She knew that Liang Xiaoxiao and Liang Xiaokong's relationship was very good. Moreover, she was also an impulsive person. As long as she wanted to sow discord, she could do anything. Now the cannon fire was finally aimed at Chu Yu. Chu Luyue smiled. His expression was calm, and there wasn't the slightest ripple in his eyes. Senior Sister Liang, I'm just an ordinary student in the academy. What right do I have to command the elders? Aren't you overestimating me? Besides, I don't know your third brother. Why should I do this? Ordinary student. Liang Xiaoxiao sneered in disdain, as if she had heard a joke. You actually have the nerve to say that you're an ordinary student? After entering the northern region of the Eldritch Desolation, you were trapped. Didn't you rely on your plan to escape safely? At that time, even the elders seemed to rely on you and listen to your words, right? Many people were shocked. Although they knew that Chu Luyue had obtained the inheritance in the northern region of the Eldritch Desolation, they didn't know much about what Liang Xiaoxiao said. At this moment, when they suddenly heard it, they were very shocked. The elders all listened to that teenager? This sounded preposterous. But Liang Xiaoxiao's words were so convincing that it didn't seem like she was lying. As if sensing the suspicions of the surrounding people, Liang Xiaoxiao snorted coldly and said, Everyone, you might not know this, but at that time, Jiang Jiwan accidentally killed a nine-tailed blue crow, causing a large number of nine-tailed blue crows to chase after him. In a moment of desperation, they had no other choice and nowhere to escape. In the end, they followed Chu Yu all the way and successfully reached that canyon. Only then were they able to escape safely. As for my third brother, he might have been killed in that canyon. At that time, Chu Yu, of course your opinion was important. It could even influence the elders' decision. Do you dare to admit it? Liang Xiaoxiao was agitated. Her face was flushed red, and her eyes seemed to be burning with anger. Everyone around her was shocked by her words, and it took a long time for them to recover from their shock. Liang Xiaoxiao, you mean? Chu Yu was the one who brought people to the canyon? A middle-aged man suddenly asked. Everyone's hearts were in their mouths. If this was true, then didn't that mean Chu Yu knew the location of the canyon from the beginning? Then, the implications of this matter were too great. For a moment, countless pairs of doubtful eyes landed on Chu Luyue, Elder Hua Feng, and the others looked tense. In fact, they had always been very curious about this point. At that time, Chu Yu's performance did seem like he was very familiar with the northern part of the primordial world. However, Chu Yu did not say much, so they did not ask further. Who knew that Liang Xiaoxiao would actually bring up this point and point it at Chu Yu? How did she know so much about it? Someone must have told her. Chu Luyue was also thinking about this question. Facing Liang Xiaoxiao's angry questioning, Chu Luyue's reaction was much calmer. She tilted her head and frowned as if she was deep in thought. Liang Xiaoxiao sneered. What? Feeling guilty? Can't you make it up? Chu Luyue shook her head and smiled. No, I'm just thinking, weren't you guys chasing after Jiang Jiwan a while ago? Why are you so biased towards her now? What? Liang Xiaoxiao's expression froze, and she did not react for a moment. Chu Luyue blinked and explained patiently with a smile. Only a few people know about the situation at that time. And there are even fewer people who are willing to tell you this. Senior Sister Liang, You probably don't know, but at that time, we were actually following Jiang Jiwan's words in the northern part of the primordial world. At that time, we had just arrived in the northern part of the primordial world, but we encountered several troubles in a row. After a while, we were almost at our wits' end. Fortunately, we met Jiang Jiwan later. She happened to escape from a predicament and had been running for a long time. She knew the safest way. Therefore, we chose to let her lead the way. As she spoke, Chu Luiyue looked at Shi Rui'er. Senior Sister Rui'er, what do you think? Shi Rui'er curled her lips into a smile. That's right. Although I have never liked Jiang Jiwan, she was the most experienced at that time. So we all chose to listen to her and escape from the northern part of the primordial world. In the end, it was Jiang Jiwan who led us. I don't know why, the leader was changed to junior brother Chu Yu. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. Chapter 1453. Shi Rui'er's smile was cold and her tone was sarcastic. I'm afraid that someone is desperately trying to push all the blame onto someone else. Although she did not mention a name, everyone could tell that she was talking about Jiang Jiwan. Liang Xiaoxiao was also stunned. She had only received this news by chance a few days ago, but she did not know who sent it. She had wanted to investigate, but the other party was very secretive. She could not find anything even after a few days of searching, so she had to put it aside for the time being. However, she believed this news very much, because it was too detailed. She knew that it was most likely someone who had secretly leaked this news. However, she did not expect that it would be Jiang Jiwan. After all, not long ago, she and her father had chased after Jiang Jiwan, causing her to panic like a stray dog. In the end, she had no choice but to hide in the Yuntian Tower, and did not dare to come out again. Jiang Jiwan must hate them to the core. Why would she take the initiative to say this? However, after hearing Shi Rui'er's words, Liang Xiaoxiao realized that she was wrong. Jiang Jiwan not only hated them, but also hated Chu Yu and the school. If he could use this opportunity to viciously attack his enemies, then why not? In the end, Jiang Jiwan only needed to reap the benefits. After coming back to her senses, Liang Xiaoxiao's face turned green and white. She could not help but curse angrily. That be *tch. Most of the people present had no relationship with Jiang Jiwan, so they did not care when they heard this. As for Rong Xiao, his attitude towards Jiang Jiwan had always been as cold as the wind, so he naturally did not take it to heart. The only person who was upset when he heard this was Bailey June. However, Liang Xiaoxiao was about to explode in anger. How could she care about Bailey June? Besides, the one who was at fault was Jiang Jiwan. Even if Bailey June was unhappy, he was in no position to make a scene in front of her. Unbeknownst to her, Jiang Jiwan, who was being insulted by her, was at the scene and had heard everything clearly. Jiang Jiwan's heart was beating violently. Her blood was about to rush out, and her temples were throbbing. If it wasn't for her last bit of rationality, she would have already rushed over and ripped Liang Xiaoxiao's mouth apart. She clenched her fists so hard that her knuckles turned white. With great difficulty, he suppressed the emotions in his heart. Wait. These people were all waiting. So at that time my third brother's death. Liang Xiaoxiao gritted her teeth. So it's still related to her. Was it that bitch who told the elders not to save them? Oh right. At that time, didn't Jiang Jiwan admit it herself? At that time, third brother had begged her, but she ignored him? At that time, Jiang Jiwan said that she couldn't persuade the academy elders, so she had no choice but to do so. But now, it was clear that she was the mastermind behind this matter. Chu Luiyue opened her mouth, but before she could say anything, Shi Rui'er took over. Actually, you can't completely blame Jiang Jiwan for this matter. After all, we couldn't even protect ourselves at that time. How could we have the extra strength to help? Jiang Ziyuan clenched her fists so hard that they almost broke. Shi Rui'er seemed to be speaking up for her. But in fact, she was giving her a hard push. She was determined to kill her. However, no matter how much she wanted to argue, she couldn't open her mouth as she was wearing another face. A sweet and fishy smell surged up. Jiang Juan swallowed it. After hearing Shi Rui's words, many people expressed that they were convinced. Although the Meteor sect had a good relationship with Lingxiao College, it wasn't to the extent that they would put in so much effort for one of their students. Shi Rui was young, but she was very experienced in dealing with people and was very bold. Since she had said so, then it should be true. Chu Luiyue glanced at Shi Rui, and the corners of her lips curled up. It felt good to have someone's help. She didn't persuade Zichen to release the legendary three-eyed eagle in vain. That canyon is very dangerous. It's hard to say whether anyone will live or die if they go in. We also suffered a lot when we went in. Shi Rui tucked her hair behind her ear and said with a smile, I heard that many people here suspect that Chu Yu has a very good understanding of the northern territory of the Great Desolate Land. That's why he was able to obtain such a precious opportunity when others were having a hard time surviving. But I wonder if you have any evidence to prove it? The few people from the Meteor sect, including me, have been with them all this time. If Chu Yu was really up to something, how could we not know about it? Aren't you looking down on the Meteor sect too much? At the end of her speech, Shi Rui's tone carried a trace of displeasure and arrogance. Liang Xiaoxiao's arrogance was suppressed, and her expression became somewhat hesitant. Is this true or false? Liang Ye took the opportunity to pull her back. Sit down. How can you say such things without solid evidence? Liang Xiaoxiao could only clench her teeth and sit back down. After going around in circles, the problem still came back to Jiang Jiwan. If she had the chance to meet her, she would definitely teach her a lesson. I'm afraid that we can't come to a conclusion on this matter in such a short time. I think we should change the question. A man who seemed to be in his 30s suddenly spoke. He was wearing a dark purple robe. His cheeks were thin, and his facial features were ordinary. Only his eyes seemed to have thorns, and they were exceptionally sharp and deep. Chu Luiyue glanced at him, but didn't recognize him. Rong Xiu's voice was heard at this moment. Ziguang County's Princess Yao Bin. They have suffered heavy casualties in the northern territory of the Great Desolate Land. He was very close to Chu Luiyue, so his low and deep voice was exceptionally moving. Chu Luiyue's ears became slightly hot. In addition, they have a blood feud with the Black Demon Cave. Chu Luiyue immediately became alert and tapped her fingers on the armrest. Sure enough, in the next moment, the other party went straight to the point and asked directly, Chu Yu, it's rumored that you have a close relationship with the Black Demon Cave. How do you explain this? Chu Luiyue sat up straight. Unlike her previous carefree calmness, her expression was much more serious and solemn. I have nothing to do with the Black Demon Cave. She enunciated each word clearly. Yao Bin frowned, and his expression was dangerous. If you have nothing to do with it, why do you have the aura of the Black Demon Cave on you? Digression. It's over a 5-star rating in the bookstore. February is really too pitiful. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1454. Everyone looked over, their eyes full of scrutiny and doubt. Compared to Liang Xiaokong's death, they were more concerned about this. The Black Demon Cave had a bad reputation in the Divine Ruins world. Although they had kept a low profile in recent years, it did not change most people's impression of them. Therefore, when they heard that Chu Luiyue was related to the Black Demon Cave, a string in their minds immediately tightened. Elder Bo Yen and the others also looked over. They still did not know what was going on. If Chu Luiyue could not clarify this issue, she would be attacked by the crowd. Chu Luiyue narrowed her eyes. She had the aura of the Black Demon Cave on her? She had only exchanged blows with them in the past few times, but had not done anything else. Could it be the so-called aura was left behind because of this? It shouldn't be. She had never heard of anyone being able to leave their opponent's aura on their body while fighting. She said indifferently, Princess Yao, please forgive Chu Yu for not knowing what you mean. I did have a dispute with the people of the Black Demon Cave before, but that was all. As for the rest, I don't know what's going on. Elder Wan Jing's expression changed slightly, and he could not help but ask in a low voice. Chuyu, you fought with the Black Demon Cave before? Those are extremely vicious people. If Chuyu ran into them, wouldn't he? Fortunately, he was fine. It was not just Elder Wanzheng. Hearing Chuluyue's words, many of the people around felt their hearts beating like a drum. The people of the Black Demon Cave have not come out in recent years. How did you run into them? Yaobin leaned forward, his eyes fixed on Chuluyue. The pressure was extremely strong. Do you have any witnesses or evidence to back up your claims? Witnesses? Evidence? Chuluyue could not help but chuckle. Princess Yao, why would I lie about something like this? Did he want her to resurrect Shengguanwan? Besides, even if they didn't appear in public, it doesn't mean that they really don't go out, right? As far as I know, the strength of the Black Demon Cave can be considered tyrannical, and the scale of the entire sect is not small. Will they really obediently stay in their own territory and do nothing for the next few years? That was impossible. Yaobin choked. Oh right, there's one more thing that I need to make clear to everyone. The person who fought with me is no longer a member of the Black Demon Cave. As for who he is, I have no idea. Not a member of the Black Demon Cave? How were they supposed to investigate? Yaobin suddenly said. Chuyu, my Purple Light County has fought with the Black Demon Cave for many years, and can be considered to have some experience. I can confirm that you do have the aura of the Black Demon Cave. If you really have a clear conscience, do you dare to let me investigate? Chuluyue's eyebrows twitched slightly. Didn't Chuyu say that he had nothing to do with the Black Demon Cave? Now Chuluyue looked down. A white light suddenly flashed in her mind. Right. How could she forget about the wooden tablet? Some time ago, she had come to Fangzhou City with Luo Yanming and Zhuosheng to relax. At that time, she had met a middle-aged man at a street stall in the city. That man was the soul that had been chasing her relentlessly. It was also that time that she had obtained a wooden tablet from him. That was the wooden tablet of the Black Demon Cave. The totem of the Black Demon Cave was clearly engraved on it. After repelling the soul, she had wanted to destroy the wooden tablet, but after thinking about it again and again, she put it aside for the time being. She did not expect that it would cause her such trouble today. Whoosh! The whistling sound was even sharper. It was as if an invisible force was desperately drilling into the Qiankuan ring in an attempt to force the wooden tablet out. However, even after a long while, the interspatial ring showed no signs of being broken. Yaobin frowned. How could the defensive power of this universe ring be so strong? Chuluyue also suddenly thought of this question, and her heart skipped a beat. This was Rongxiu's universe ring. It was also a symbol of the saint's identity. It was normal for it to be able to resist Yaobin's power, but in the eyes of others, mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from the Love Network. Chapter 1455. Anyone with a brain would have guessed that there was something wrong with the interspatial ring. Chuluyue's mind raced. Ever since she left the Yuntian Tower, she had disguised the interspatial ring whenever she went out. From the outside, it looked just like an ordinary gray interspatial ring. As long as one did not check it carefully, no one would think that the most noble ring of the Yuntian Tower was on her finger. But now, the interspatial ring easily intercepted Yaobin's power. At this time, Yaobin also noticed that something was wrong. He looked at Chuluyue with eyes full of suspicion. The interspatial ring on Chuyu's finger seemed to be unusual. He was slightly angry. He suddenly raised his hand and threw out a divine power. The divine power quickly poured into the purple jade ring. In an instant, its momentum soared. The wind whistled. Chuluyue stood in the center of the vortex, her clothes fluttering. She almost felt that her body was about to be strangled by the violent power. She made a prompt decision. Pa! A slight sound came out. She calmly removed the power from the interspatial ring and released the wooden tablet at the same time. Whoosh! Everyone only saw something suddenly fly out. Chuluyue staggered and quietly escaped from the vortex. At the same time, She resealed the interspatial ring. There were too many things hidden in it that could not be shown publicly. Yao Bin's figure flashed forward swiftly, and he held the wooden token tightly in his hand. Then he waved his wrist and took back the purple jade ring. The oppressive power disappeared, and Chu Liyue finally breathed a sigh of relief. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. In the eyes of the onlookers, that thing could not withstand the pressure of the purple jade ring, and was forced out. Didn't they see that Chu Yu's face was a little pale? However, no one had any other doubts. Except for Yao Bin. He glanced at Chu Liyue suspiciously. In that instant, his intuition shouldn't be wrong. The ring on Chu Yu's finger was not ordinary, but it indeed only happened in an instant. Looking at Chu Yu now, it didn't seem like it. Could it be that he was wrong? A trace of uncertainty appeared in Yao Bin's heart. Princess Yao, what are you holding in your hand? A question interrupted Yao Bin's thoughts. He calmed down and planned to suppress these things first and talk about it later. The most important thing now was the Black Demon Cave. He glanced at the item in his hand. His expression suddenly became cold. Although he had guessed what it was before, when he saw the totem on the wooden tablet that he hated so deeply, his heart was still filled with endless resentment and anger. He clutched the wooden sign tightly, and suddenly looked at Chu Liyue. Chu Yu, this is the wooden tablet of the Black Demon Cave. And its level is quite high. If you really have nothing to do with the Black Demon Cave, why would you have such a thing on you? As soon as he said that, the crowd, Black Demon Cave's wooden tablet? That was not something an ordinary person. Wouldn't this confirm his previous suspicions towards Chu Yu? Everyone's it's this wooden tablet of the Black Demon Cave. It seems that only their own people have it, right? That's right. A few years ago, we fought with the Black Demon Cave, and saw their people take out this wooden tablet with our own eyes. This wooden tablet is carved from sea buckthorn wood, and the totem of the Black Demon Cave is engraved in the middle. I heard that every totem was drawn with their own blood as a guide, and no one else can copy it. Moreover, they value this wooden tablet very much. Generally speaking, they would never let it fall into the hands of others. The crowd discussed fervently, clearly suspecting Chu Liyue. It was as if they were certain that Chu Liyue was in cahoots with the Black Demon Cave. Elder Bo Yin and the others were also stunned for a moment. Black Demon Cave's wooden tablet? How could that kid have such a thing on him? Elder Bo Yin was stunned for a moment, and then looked at Rong Xiao. The two of them had a close relationship. Did Rong Xiao know about this? Unfortunately, Rong Xiao's face was as calm and indifferent as ever, and no clues could be seen. As if sensing Elder Bo Yan's gaze, Rong Xiao glanced sideways, and the corners of his lips curled up imperceptibly, giving Elder Bo Yan a reassuring look. Elder Bo Yan heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that Rong Xiao knew what was going on. He was relieved. At first, he did not believe that Chu Yu had anything to do with the Black Demon Cave. Who did not know that Rong Xiao and the Black Demon Cave were enemies? If Chu Yu really had something to do with the Black Demon Cave, why would Rong Xiao protect him like this? Speaking of which, Rong Xiao was part of the reason why the Black Demon Cave had suddenly stopped in the past few years. However, not many people knew about this, so when the wooden tablet appeared, everyone was full of doubts about Chu Yu. Chu Liyue coughed a few times. Without the pressure of the external force, her complexion looked better. However, her lips were still slightly pale, and it was not difficult to tell what kind of pain she had just experienced. Chu Liyue looked at the wooden tablet and smiled helplessly. So this is what you're talking about? She rubbed her eyebrows. Have you forgotten? I said just now that I fought with their people. This wooden tablet was obtained at that time. Yao Bin did not believe it. So simple? I don't think so. Everyone in the Black Demon sect has a wooden tablet like this. In other words, this is a symbol of their status. The stronger they are, the higher their level, the more importance they attach to the wooden tablet. The one in my hand must be a famous existence in the Black Demon sect. To be more direct, it must be a high god expert at the very least. Such a person, as long as they still have a breath left, would never let this wooden tablet fall into the hands of others, especially their enemies. You said that you obtained this thing at that time. Doesn't this mean that you killed a high god expert of the other party? Yao Bin twitched the corner of his mouth, and the lines on his thin face were cold and hard. Who would believe this? There was dead silence. It was not difficult to deduce that Chu Yu should have this wooden tablet before he entered the northern region of the Eldritch Desolation. After he returned, he had been staying in Lingxiao College and had no chance to obtain this thing. When he entered the northern region of the Eldritch Desolation, he seemed to be a rank 8 warrior. With such strength, killing a high god expert, it was not a fool's dream? However, in the face of Yao Bin's questioning, Chu Yu's face did not show the slightest bit of panic. She laughed, and her tone was still calm. Princess Yao seems to have forgotten one thing. I just said that the person who fought with me has already left the Black Demon sect. So this thing should not be that important to him, right? Yao Bin was stunned, and the rest of his words were stuck in his throat. Yes, Chu Yu did say that. But at that time he did not care. If that person was really no longer a member of the Black Demon sect, this wooden tablet would naturally become a piece of trash, not worth mentioning. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from the Love Network. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.